able to start to.
Good.
Yeah, we're live. What good, everyone? Game Player episode 34. Oh boy. Oh, nice setting. I like that. Um, we have a very famous. Oh wow! Oh wow! Okay. Yeah, sorry, I'm just seeing it myself for the first time. So this is all Innate doing. Shout out to Innate for creating this impeccable stream. Yeah, we have Jabari. Go ahead and introduce yourself. What you been playing?
Yo, what's good, guys, man? Appreciate the invite. I mean, this is my second time
Yeah,
on
your
Game
second
Slayer.
time.
It's been a beautiful week for gaming, so can't wait to talk about all the topics. And as far as what I'm playing,
Hmm.
the typical, the usual. Finishing up on Edenwind Chronicles, Rising. Also, playing Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. A new update came for that. Pretty fun update. Kind of relearning that game. Getting better setups because the new mechanics kind of will blow up some of my setups. And also playing through Horizon once again, man. Horizon Forbidden West, ultra difficulty, ultra hard, new
Hmm.
game plus, and the new update with the whole performance mode, cleaning that up, and it looks amazing, man. So
Hmm.
I've been enjoying that a lot, man. So that's pretty much what I'm focused on. But I really also want to focus on completing Edenwin Chronicles, and I'll probably go back to like Young Souls or probably Anno Mutania, and finish up those games before like DNF Duel come out this month.
Gotcha. Yeah, I saw a video of you with what's called Grand Blue Fantasy. You you being put on the naughty list with PlayStation just because of the word damn.
Yeah, I don't like the whole censoring, man. Like with PlayStation,
I feel you.
I don't know why they're censoring it like that, especially if an adult, account. You know what I mean? If it's under 18, I can get you censoring the profanity. I don't have nobody on my account that's like under that age or whatnot. So I don't understand the whole, censoring and that stuff. It's dumb to me. And it'd be the simplest words. I understand if it's like a slur or something, but saying damn and you can't post that, it's just like crazy. Like you can't really express yourself when you want to share your clip. You know what I mean? So
That's facts.
Gotcha. Weep. How are you? What you been playing?
Yeah, I'm still trying to get rid of this flu. Uh, I have no idea what it's doing. Sometimes I feel better, and sometimes I feel worse. But other than that, I'm fine. I've been playing Dragon Guard 3 on the PlayStation 3. I
Okay.
remember that I still had that lying around, and I didn't really feel like playing anything on my PlayStation 5, so there we are. And yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, yeah, graphically it's obviously a bit dated, and gameplay is sometimes a bit rough, but actually I really enjoy it. And I mean the writing and the dialogues, and it's fucking hilarious. I mean, I've never seen a dragon pee himself before. Uh, so yeah, I highly recommend it so far. And other than that, I've also been binge watching The Expanse.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, yeah. I really regret not picking it up sooner. It's
It's
a go to TV show.
Expanse is
Which
amazing.
game?
No, no, he's
No,
talking
it's
about
just
a TV show now.
Oh,
The
TV show.
Expanse.
Which one?
The Expanse.
Oh yeah, it's such a good show.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I'll put you on at some point. It's an amazing sci-fi
Okay.
space type show. I was actually uh I was on like the sixth book when audiobook for it when um Amazon announced taking they were gonna bring it to the show, and one of my managers at the time was also a really big fan. So we nerded out over that like every week. It's an amazing show. they casted amazingly well for that show. It's insane.
Gotcha.
Yeah, most definitely.
Before I,
So,
before I go further, let me highlight a few people. Uptrack Gaming, what's up? Jabari in the house. Ice Cream Gaming, what's up? Nate in the house. Viper Reeb, what's up? Nate, what you been up to? And how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Nah, I mean, I've just been bouncing around, just trying to complete some of the older stuff that I've already been playing. I actually downloaded and bought Far Cry 6 on sale the other night. Um, but I'm not new on it. I played it on PC for a little bit and transferred my save, so I got it on there on sale so I could play co-op with Morgan. I've been playing heavily, more so Middle Earth Shadow of War. Um, because I played it originally on PC again, but I really wanted to enjoy it on the PlayStation. I wish it had the 60 FPS patch, but you know, it is what it is. But and I'm still working through Control and 13 Sentinels as well, and on my Switch Triangle Strategy. So I'm playing a lot, man, and it's good to have a
Any
lot.
funny in between?
Yeah, I
Or
mean
you
it's
put that
no,
down?
no, I haven't put it down. It's just man, it's a lot. That's what I always tell people, man. I was
Yo,
like,
that's one I forgot to list too. Triangle Strategy is one I definitely come back to on the Switch as well. I'm
mm-hmm.
trying to rock through that as well.
Yeah, man, it's an amazing
Do you
game.
take
So
do you take your time with these type of game or do you rush through them? Not rush, but more like play them in one setting.
um, I'm taking my time with each title. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
I have it compartmentalized when I'm playing it, and stuff like that. Certain ones, it depends on the type of game, right? So like Control, my biggest problem with Control is getting lost. So like I can't stay away
Oh
from
yeah.
Control X amount of time because the map is no help. So you need to remember like like where you're going or what level things are on.
The map the map is yeah, the map is abysmal. I know. I play
Yeah,
Pluto. I feel you.
yeah, it's a mess. But yeah, man, I'm just taking my time with each of them, working through it. You know what I'm saying? I showed you the backlog. I got the list. So it's been great playing through my backlog, man. A lot of people just don't they're like, "Oh, I've accepted I'll never get to it." I'm like, "Nah, forget all that. I'm getting to every single thing in this backlog."
Nice.
So, yeah, it's been fun, man. I'm loving it.
Ghost, how are you? What you been playing?
Well, I'm doing great, man. I got actually a long weekend, and then I'm gonna head down to Arizona, and me and Nate are gonna chop it up when we go down there, and hopefully meet up and drive some fast cars. So, looking forward to that. Um, right now, man, I'm playing Division 2, like the new update and the new some of the new missions. Of course, I'm Destiny 2 has the new update, and really just been whooping people at 2K. I mean, that's basically that's my rotation right now. I'm just spanking people on 2K and just enjoying some of this time off. I'm actually the no fun police is not here. My wife and kids they're down the house in Florida, so I'm actually at the house by myself, man, and I'm just enjoying it, man. I'm drinking and eating up everything, and just going to work and coming home to an empty house, and it feels good. You know what I mean? So just enjoying life, and I mean I miss her, but these next 12 days will actually be kind of interesting. So just gaming
Really, you
and
miss
playing.
her? No fun police. That's a
Yeah,
lot of
oh shit! I call,
missing.
I call, I call her no fun police right to her face. I'm like, you no fun police. You know what I'm saying? So
Yo,
um,
That was
everybody
funny.
knows how it is when you you ain't been doing nothing, and then you hear that beep from the PlayStation turn on and be like, "Hey, hold on, wait a minute, don't."
Zach,
We need to go to the
Yo,
let
store.
fact.
Yo, I
me make
just
this to
turned it
you.
on. Like,
Yo, even when they not there, the you would get a phone call as soon as you press that button.
Yes, exactly. My house is quite large in square footage, and I swear to God, the PlayStation is all the way in the basement, and my wife could be clear on the other side of the house. Let me touch that bill. Let me touch that button. Somehow, magically, she'll just materialize. She'll teleport and be like, "What you did?" Like, God damn! Like, first of all, where'd you come
Yeah.
from? Like,
Soon as you hit it.
hey, Ice Queen, I don't
Okay.
want to hear nothing about no Destiny T, Ice Queen. Now, I've been trying to play with you for weeks, and you just keep dismissing me. So I don't want to hear nothing, nothing. Yeah,
We
I'm fucking with you.
have a latecomer, Chris Ratchet. How are you? What you been up to?
Yo, what's up? What's good? What's good? Nah, man, just chilling, bro. Just chilling, just chilling. I was playing some Triangle Strategy earlier, and then right now I'm playing Devil May Cry 5 as we talk right now.
Devil May Cry
Gotcha.
5 / Final Fantasy 16.
Yes, sir. You already know.
Um, as for me, I started. So I finished. So no, I got the platinum in Solar Ash. Uh, Loved it, but after the platinum, I was done with it. Well, I was actually done with it after the hardest mode difficulty. That shit took a lot out of me. But because I'm stubborn, I made it work. And after it, I wanted to play Anna, but Anna was not there yet. So I started Star Ocean: The Last Hope, and I was having a blast. And then Anno came, and I started Anno Mutatium, or whatever you wanna call that shit. And boy, the fucking minigame broke me. That shit, I have come only 50 point for getting the not platinum, the trophy. It's rough.
Which mini game?
The bartending. Is there more minigames?
Well, yeah, you got to do that one. You got to do the arcade one, the Pong one. I thought you were having more trouble with the Pong. I mean, yeah, the
No,
bartending one. I mean, I'm used to what's that? I forgot what that game was called. Where you had to like time the shit as well too, and you had like a small window to like get the button on time or whatever. But I was used to that, so I didn't really have. I mean, those. I mean, I had to restart a bunch of times, but I got through it. The Pong one, that shit was like that shit felt fucking cheap because the fucking the computer like moves way
Oh,
faster than you.
yeah.
yeah.
So
How many
I had
points do you
to
need to win?
you
To
need
win
to
with.
hit 10. Oh no, 11 I think. Yeah,
Oh,
11. And but
customers.
so I had to look it up and
Yeah, you can
cheese
cheese
it.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a cheese that if you put it in one if you put it in one specific location, it'll always hit the ball to the point where it angles itself and you always get a point and you don't even have to move it at all. You put it in that one location and you just put your controller down in it and you will score the 11 points.
That's what I'm going to do. Cause here is the thing: I love gaming, but I don't love wasting my time.
Right.
If you're giving me a challenge and it's fair, I'm down to that. If your challenge is bullshit, then I'm gonna call you out on it and I'm gonna cheat my way through it. I don't give a fuck. So yeah, we're missing a few people, Morgan and Kay. Maybe they'll show up, maybe not. With that being said, let's before we jump to our new topic, let's say shout out to the chat. Shout out Viper Rib again. Shout out CTR2. Shout out Tekken Godjet. Shout out Ice Queen. Shout out Upshot Gaming. Shout out Persona. Shout out. And yeah, we got everyone. The first topic is going to be PlayStation selling 20 mil. That's impressive, especially in quote unquote, we're still in pandemic if I'm correct. So doing 20 mil, actually it's impressive, but PlayStation 4 was doing better back then at that time frame. Mostly because of the lack of ships. Um, yeah, 20 mil. How long do you think it's gonna take them before really dropping the PS4? I'm gonna go with you in it.
Um, Yeah, I mean, as far as like, I mean, production, I mean, they've already stated, I mean, they pretty much done that besides producing that extra million that they were talking about. As far as dropping it on the software end, I mean, I think the last game from them personally that you'll see will probably come sometime in honestly 2024. I just think the way development is, it depends on when the game started. I feel like any game that's going to release by then will have started, development possibly late, but was already in development for the PlayStation 4 as well. So I think that's the last time we'll see anything from them at the earliest, the end of 2023. But for the most part, I mean, you're going to see a heavy transition, if not a complete transition, by 2025. But yeah, I mean, it's impressive to see them get where they're at. They obviously, I mean, if they could have produced 40 million, they'd be there. They can't, but I mean, honestly, I believe the demand is just that damn high. I still know several people that want one. They don't particularly want to like wait in line and do all the other stuff to try and get one. They're just like, look, when it's in the stores and I can walk in and I can pick one up, I'll do that. But I can tell you just from being at Best Buy recently that I mean, it's still there was one PlayStation official headset in the store in all of Best Buy. So yeah, like people are buying them. People are still going crazy for the stuff off the shelf. The accessories are still barely surviving in stores. So yeah, I think they're just gonna skyrocket from here as long as the supply can increase, and they're saying that it will. They're planning to ramp up production, so I think you'll see a fast climb to 30 plus million easily.
I'm gonna steal this one from Vitamin G podcast, where I asked them the same question. How long do you think this generation gonna last?
Oh man, that's rough. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
shoot, I mean, the last one was the longest. I mean, what we came out 20 2027 maybe 2028. I mean, it could be crazy, especially if they go with another mid gen refresh. Um, I mean, they really got to have a reason to do a next system. There's got to be something that's going to really push. And I think the further we get, clearly, even by evidence with PC hardware, the further we get to this threshold of like maximum graphical fidelity kind of area. I mean, we're not there yet, but it's gonna take some years to really produce something at the price range that consoles are at, um, to be able to give us a significant advantage over what we've currently seen. So, I mean, I don't see it lasting any less than 7 years, personally, because I think they've proven there is a ton of growth and a ton of things to be put on the table with things like FSR showing up, which is going to just increase visual fidelity and other things, as well as increasing performance at the same time. So the legs could be amazingly long, and we've only just now seen devs start to kind of stretch out and really feel out what the systems can really start to do. And as those grow, so will the engines and the rest of the tools. So yeah, at least 7 years.
Gotcha. Chris Righteous. Um, same question. PlayStation still 20 million impressive. When do you think they're gonna drop the PS4, and how long do you think the generation gonna last?
No, the PS4 is still going to be supported in production for at least a couple of years, I would say. But people hear that and they assume that like Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine also going to come out on PS4. Nah, as far as like game development, like the bigger first-party games, I think God of War Ragnarok should be probably, unless it's like one of those live service games, but it should be um hopefully the last cross-gen game as far as like the big AAA from the first parties supporting PS4. But the PS4 is still going to be supported for at least a couple years. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't. There's no surprise. PlayStation is the number one brand. It's the most sought out for brand. You know, they have very you know, some of the highest quality of content. You know, they always deliver, so they build that trust with the consumers. So there's no surprising that is you know, is in high demand and selling as fast as it is. And the thing is they're actually handicapped right now. Like they're actually handicapped pretty bad right now due to the chip shortages and the supply constraints or whatever. Because they would already probably been like probably closing in on 30 million by now. You know what I mean? So, but they are increasing supply. So, yeah, it's like it doesn't. Nobody should be surprised. PlayStation is as always sold game busters. Even with their PS3, they still was able to reach around 90 million. So even with the hurdles and hiccups coming into the PS4 and to the PS5, was a very smooth transition for the most part. They really didn't have it like any type of major you know, any major hiccups. You know, there's a little minor ones here and there, and then the other ones that people try to make into a big deal that wasn't a big deal, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, PlayStation number one, man. Let's get it. You know what I mean? They deserve it because they actually don't. The only one out here thinking about new ways to push gaming forward was like the controller, right? The DualSense. You know, if it was like VR, you know, even with how the PS5 is designed with its unique architecture, that's gonna, you know, allow devs to do even cooler shit that we haven't seen before if they truly utilize it. You know, and of course, like a lot of their first party studios bring some of the highest quality of games that we've ever seen. So, and they're gonna continue to do that. You know, one thing I'm worried about is their change of strategy as far as live service games, because by the year 2025, they're gonna invest 55% into live service game and only 45% into single player. So it's actually going to go down for single players and then higher for live service games. At least that's what they're projecting, and that's what I'm really fucking. I don't like that, honestly, and I'm actually worried about that as well too. But that's just me as a you know, as like a diehard fan. Of course, you know, if they're able
Hey,
to sell
Chris.
200 million with that strategy, then fucking that's going to work out for them. Yeah, go ahead, bro.
You know, I just wanted to ask you, like, you know, that number, as daunting as it may be, you know, are they saying they're going to invest 55% of what their annual revenue? I mean, what's the amount of money? Because you know, if you start looking into the numbers, and we'll just use the numbers that we have on hand, like, you know, last year's overall revenue, which was what, 25 billion. So if they're going to put 55% into we'll just use that number because that's the number that we have, right? If they use 55% of, you know, their annual revenue and the other percentages used on single player games, that's still a ton of money for their single player games. You know what I'm saying? So until we know that actual number of what the percentage is of the money that's allotted towards, you know, single player games and live service games, then now if it's 200 million, that's a different story, right? So until we actually know that number, you know, let's not be too scared, because, you know, one thing that Sony has always been, and I'm talking about Sony from the 70s and until now, is that they are always innovating, and that's the reason for their vast majority of their success, not just in gaming, but just, you know, in their whole philosophy. So until we find out what that number is, the dollar amount, I guess, I'd say hold your fear just for a second. I'm not saying you're scared, but hold your
Concerns.
concerns until we actually know what that number is. Because if that
Well,
number
like
is
yeah,
10,
like
if that
yeah,
Really,
number is
truly,
10 billion, that's
yeah,
still a lot of money.
no, yeah, you and yeah, I mean, for the most part, I'll definitely say you right. But it's still how like they're going all in with the live service games, and they don't even know if a lot of them are even gonna hit. But they even said themselves, there's only like two of them, right, really hits. Then I guess they're okay. They're okay with that, because if you look at the graph, it went from like, you know, it was like 10%, and then it jumped for like 49% like the next year, and then like by the year like 2024 or 2025, it's like they're going to be investing even more into live service, right? Which, I mean, we still have yet to see and shit like that. They could be some of the best games we played, right? As far as like
Right.
something unique and innovative and things like that, right? But it's just like, it's just certain things that for me is like kind of concerns me a little bit. But I do agree with you. You are right. We still gotta wait and see. I don't think that the single players and them investing a lot of money into the single player games, yeah, that's definitely not gonna go away. But I want to make sure that they still understand what brought them to this place, in the first place,
I
to
don't.
to
I
here in
don't
the first
think.
place.
I don't think
But
it matters. I don't think it matters of how much money there is coming in. The focus of what PlayStation is traditionally known for is shifting. You know, whether it's more money or not,
right.
they're
Hmm.
telling you that their focus is not traditional single player narrative games. Not saying that it's going to go away. Not saying that they're not going to make those games, but it's the focus, the priority. The priority is going to be live service. You know what I mean? Because that's the bigger margin of where investments and money is going to go to.
Right. And and who's to say, like, the one thing, and I'm sorry for cutting you off, Chris and Jay. The one thing that I've been with Sony since PlayStation 1, Battle Arena to Shinden. You know what I'm saying? The one thing that I'm willing to give PlayStation the benefit of the doubt, as opposed to the competitor, is that I have been given those awesome experiences, those awesome games, those awesome peripherals, those awesome consoles, and so I get your concerns, and they are valid concerns, you and Jay Barry's, but I'm also willing to, because I know that Sony's not going to. I would hope that Sony wouldn't drop the ball and just turn into the competitor. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm able to give them the benefit of the doubt, because I know that they, you know, everything well, almost everything that they create is very well thought out. Like, they have the best minds and the best studios and the resources to put into those games. Like, their gaming sector is what it's what 28%, 38% of what their overall all of Sony's revenue is. So that is their focus. They cannot allow that to fail, especially if they're going to emphasize that much money, time, and resources into that. Do you see what I'm saying?
uh, yeah, but uh, things can always change, right? So I just don't want. And I agree with you. I think that's what's most likely going to be the outcome, right? What you said, but
Mm-hmm.
things can always change, and there's always new people going in and out. Jim Ryan's obviously he's not going to be there forever, and things like that. Insomniac said Spider-Man's never coming to PC, and we saw that definitely wasn't true, right? At least
Right.
it was true. Well, I mean, to give him the benefit of that, it was true at the time. But like I said, things can always change. So I just don't want these live service games to make so much money to the point where it gets to the point where they just start caring less and less about the single player games. Like, yeah, they're gonna give it for the core fans and shit like that, but then they
Give me one second. Somebody's at my door.
they're telling us that they're gonna invest more into the live service games in the future than the actual single player games. But we're gonna have to wait and see. You know what I mean? Exactly how that turns out. It didn't If it does turn out, it's probably not going to be that for a very long time. We're still going to get a lot of great games for them, even after that. So, but I don't know if Barry wanted to say something.
Oh no, you're good. I agree 100%. A lot of things that PlayStation have been saying or been doing, we see a lot of pivot changes. So I'm not going to get caught up in the mindset of like, okay, this is what they're going to be doing traditionally. But and it could be 2 years, 3 years down the line, and that just completely changes. Because in 2025, what they do traditionally is definitely going to change with the ramp up of live service games.
Yeah, I mean, I
But
think
they're still the best though. At the end of the day,
yeah, I mean they still top tier. Like, I think the key is that ultimately, with all this stuff, the same way battle royale games slowed down and didn't start, they stopped coming out every other week. Eventually, they realize the reality is, the market, however big it seems, is still finite. There's everybody not gonna stop playing the games they was already playing just to play that one new game. And if that shift happens, then that's just less revenue for another game, and those people are shifting. Like, you know, year over year, a bunch of people are not just like showing up and starting battle royale games all of a sudden. That market's kind of spoken. The people who like it, they like it. You know, some of them are evolving, so on and so forth. But I think the real draw that a lot of them have seen is from something like obviously like Genshin Impact. When you're making $1 billion every 6 months from launch, um, it's not the best way because clearly it's just a bunch of gotcha systems and things in place. But I think it's unrealistic to expect every game that comes out thereafter that's even close in that quality is going to go ahead and do that because they were just the first to really produce something on that level that went across every single system on the market. So, I mean, for other companies to think that their game coming up next is going to be just as pervasive is unrealistic. So I hope they're not pending anything on that. Um, but I mean, we'll see where they go from here forward. But yeah, go ahead, Karava.
No, it's okay. Weeb?
Yeah, I mean, you guys already said everything there was to say. I mean, impressive
Okay.
figures. Uh, yeah, I mean, I think the generation is probably going to be longer um, than before because
I
of
agree.
the shortage. But it's going to be fine in the end.
Morgan? Hi, by the way.
Uh, Hi, Omar. Hey, everybody.
Hi,
Yeah.
Morgan.
Hey. Uh, I agree with everybody's take. I do think that as far as PlayStation supporting PS4, I agree with Chris on that. That I don't think it'll be the main first party big AAA titles. I believe that it'll be the because they did confirm that they will be supporting it to I think it was 2024, 2025. I believe that's going to be like the live service games that PlayStation has confirmed to be making. Because as far as live service goes, you need as many people in the game as possible for it to be successful. So it makes sense with a fan base of 120 million people who own a PS4 to bring those people into the live service. So I think that's the games that'll be PS4 cross gen. I do think that Spider-Man 2, Wolverine, they're a sign to come of that PlayStation is moving on to PS5 for their big titles. So I don't think like we need to worry about that too much. I do agree with Weeb too that it's going to be a longer gen than usual, just because this production shortage is just affecting everybody in the industry. Not just PlayStation. And yeah, I don't expect PS5 Pro anytime soon, like these reports are talking about. But yeah, it's going to be a long gen. I feel like I feel like it's going to be at least I don't know, like 9, 10 plus years for this gen. But yeah, that's how I feel
I would
about it.
go even higher, 11 years. Because, again,
So I
remember,
can see that.
Chip shortage. People are really not focusing a lot on the chip shortage situation. This chip shortage is not only with PlayStation, it's
Hmm.
also not only in gaming, it's also in TVs and refrigerators and even cars.
Yeah,
So, uh,
yeah. PlayStation said they don't expect their production numbers to be up until early 2023, something like that. That they said like March. So yeah, and I think it's going to be even further than that. I think that's just kind of hope on their part, but yeah.
Yeah, we getting the chip shortage stuff because the demand is much greater for
Oh yeah,
PS5. I think the PS5 it's actually outpacing PS4 at the same
same.
time period. But it's just due to the demand is just way much higher.
Exactly, because it reached 10 million before PS4 did. Like you said, JBR, the only thing that's keeping it behind PS4 currently is the chip shortage. If there
yeah,
were supplies, yeah, PS5 will probably be at 30 million by now. the demand is crazy for the PS5.
I agree with everything you said. Buddy?
How long this generation gonna be?
Yeah.
I'm going to give it could be like 8 years. I'm going to say the minimum is going to be 8 years because I do feel that there's going to be another PlayStation like Pro device coming, and the fact that you have things like VR being implemented from like last year. I think VR also extends these console generations because it's just like a new way to play games, and they're trying to get everybody I guess acclimated towards that. So yeah, I'm guessing around probably like 8, 9 years. This generation is going to go for. Same like the PS4.
Gotcha. Then let's switch gear to the next topic, which is basically PlayStation. Give me a second, so I got have it perfectly with. I have it. And I went to fucking Twitter and did this
I'm back.
thing.
Welcome
Hey,
back.
real quick.
So,
So some of you who all know where I live out in the middle of nowhere. Okay, and
oh
I'm
yeah,
talking about.
wait a second. Did you find the dog?
Yeah, I found my dog. Yes,
Okay.
I live out in the middle of nowhere, and I have a privacy fence and a gate that's like a mile and a half away from my house. And a Jehovah's Witness somehow made it to my front porch. What the fuck? I live in the middle of nowhere.
They determined.
They will find a way.
Yeah, you gonna get
Yeah,
that work.
they
Like-
gonna knock on that door, man. That's what they do.
That's the wildest
They
shit
went
ever.
on a missionary. They went on a
Mhm.
missionary.
They said, "Oh, they think that
Like-
gate gonna stop us? Interesting." I'm trying to get through the gates.
Man, armed security and everything. I got to have a talk.
Oh man, they convinced
Jesus
armed security. Like, look,
Christ.
we're trying to save this man's soul. All right, let us through.
Damn. What the fuck is going on here?
They said we trying to get you to them gates after the gates, okay?
Thanks.
Fuck.
Hey, I'm gonna bring it back to gaming because
Allegedly.
I don't care about your house. Sorry about that.
Omar, you've never felt the wrath of Jehovah's Witness.
Um, Sony, shout out to Daniel Ahmed. Sony published new data on the importance of the China market to the PlayStation brand. China is the sixth market for PlayStation 5 after 72 weeks on sales of PlayStation 5 are almost like 2.7 times compared to PlayStation 4 in the same time period. Spend per user and PS Plus subs are also notably higher compared to last gen. Yeah, PlayStation 5 people all want them. So because of that, now Sony Interactive Entertainment announced on June 1st, that it has established a new China software business department that will be led by Sean Kelly. Although worth noting that Sean Kelly was previously leading PlayStation China business prior to. Okay. So my question with that becomes is, do you think PlayStation is gonna pick up or build a studio in China, either buy one or build one their own? I'm gonna go to you, Chris.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, they've been doing a pretty hard push for China. With the China Hero Project, and then now they open up this new thing that's going on. Or at least build some type of thing over there where they can get more relationships and things like that, right? But yeah, I mean, China is starting to cross over into the home console gaming market. The PlayStation is actually, PS5 launched over there already, and it's actually doing decent over there. I think China is like the fifth country in the rank as far as like for PlayStation right now. And I can definitely see that growing more over time. I mean, it's a huge country, so I can definitely see it growing more over time. And a lot of the games that are coming out of there, or the ones that we've seen, right? Because a lot of them still haven't come out, look very, very, very promising, right? Lost Soul aside, Black Myth Wukong, even some of the indie games like the China Hero Project games have so far, people been enjoying those so far. I know a lot of people enjoy Fist. I just platinum and mutation them, right? And I thought that was a big game. That's from the China Hero Project as well. You
Did
know,
you
then
play it?
they also did the Genshin Impact as well. Go ahead, my bad.
No, it's okay. Did you play it with Japanese dub or Chinese dub or
Which game?
English dub?
For which game?
Animation and
Oh no, I just played the English dub. I just played it at default. Yeah.
okay.
No, the English dub was fine by me. You know, so but yeah, I mean, even some of the indies scenes that are coming out of there, like what's that game? American Showa Story, Showa American Story. That looks phenomenal. There was another like indie Chinese is like it almost looked like Octopath Traveler, right? It's turn based, but it has like precision timing, like action during your turn. You know what I mean? Kind of like Project Cross Zone, which looks pretty good. So yeah, I mean, like I'm excited, man. And then of course they had a huge hit like Genshin Impact. So I definitely understand like Sony having a lot of interest over there. There's a lot of they haven't really been. It was banned. Video games were like banned for a long time over there, right? So I'm pretty sure like now that they're getting back into it, they're drawing inspiration from other video games around the world, and they're adding their own flavor and their own spin to them. So I'm excited to see what like what comes out of this thing with China, especially if Sony's gonna be making a push, and I could probably see them buying a Chinese studios and whatnot. They also need to buy a Japanese studio at the same time, but yeah,
that's
that'll
what
be
I was
dope.
just about to say.
That'll be crazy to buy a Chinese studio before they buy their own Japanese studio. You know what I mean?
feel
Yeah.
like
That'd definitely be crazy, but I can understand why, because in Japan the Switch is fucking like the dominator over there, and in China is not, right? So they have a better chance, probably have a better chance of dominating in China. That's probably why they want to push for it a little bit more. But yeah, I mean it's just pretty exciting, I would say.
yeah, you actually forgot one of the most impressive games that we have seen so far, which is two. One is Wuthering Waves, the one from Kuro Games, the one that you
Yeah,
shared
I'm the
with
one who
me.
shared. I shared that one, and then the other one was Wandering Sword, or codename Wandering Sword.
There is also the one that they showed at the PlayStation event that looked like Bayonetta. I forgot what's called. Uh,
The Project Eve.
yeah.
No,
thought
that
that
one's
was
from
Korean.
that was the Korean one.
Oh, Korean. Okay,
Yeah.
better then. So what's called Black Wukong is Chinese, right? No, Korean.
Oh, Black. No,
Korean.
that's Chinese. That's from China, and
Just
so is
Chinese.
Lost.
So
Yeah, so Lost Soul Aside as well.
yeah, do you see them buying one of them studio?
I mean, I know they have a close relationship right now with the Lost Soul Aside developers because they're actually funding the game, right? So maybe they're waiting to see how Lost Soul Aside comes out and how it's received, and maybe they'll lock them down. I can see that possibly.
Gotcha. Buddy.
Yeah, I can see PlayStation buying like a Chinese studio or creating their own Chinese studio. They have a lot of great partnerships, from China with like Chris said, with the China Hero Project. And China is kind of like a new market, to be honest with you, because it's a huge market. There's a lot of people there. The potential of like sales and
Right.
market share that you can create from that will be smart to just have a studio there developing games and having your presence there as well. So yeah, I can see the strong push for like a Chinese studio or just trying to get into the deep into the Chinese market because the potential as far as like sales and stuff is just it's too big to pass up.
What separate Microsoft from PlayStation is moments like this. I have yet to hear anything from Microsoft investing in China like that. Or am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, but this is why you hear like PlayStation is like a worldwide brand. They're in much more regions. Like they created a studio in like Malaysia. I think they did it like what, like 2 years ago or something like that. The Malaysian studio. So yeah, they're trying to put a foothold in a lot of these regions that they're putting PlayStations in. They might as well, cater to those regions as well, especially if it's going to be profitable or you can get a big foothold into the market share. So
Gotcha. Morgan?
Like both Bari and Chris have been saying, China is a very new market, and it's a very big market that hasn't really been tapped yet. And PlayStation sees the potential. That's millions upon millions of people of potential revenue. It'll be interesting to see how exactly they could get into the market, especially with China, known for regulating how their citizens, especially teenagers, get access to video games. I don't know if they're still doing that time limit restriction where they can only play like a certain number of hours a week or something. But PlayStation sees the potential of China, and I think they recently opened up their market a couple years ago. So why not? Like that's huge potential revenue. So I could, like Chris said, see them opening a studio there before they do Japan, just because that's you want to get your foot in before anybody else does. And that's what PlayStation has always been best at, getting their foot in the market and making uh, countries around the world their home, like they're the market leader. So yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Gotcha. Weep?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do like some of the games that came out of the China Euro project. So I'm all for developing that industry there further. Only concerns I have is the what Morgan mentioned. How far are they going to go to placate the Chinese regulations, and could that impact the freedom that their other studios have? Because we've recently seen that Jim Ryan has sent out internal memos to their studios that they can't say whatever they want, right? So um, that's a concern, because that does feel like that might also be something in preparation for them to enter Chinese market, where they have certain demands, where they say, you can't say these things, or take these particular perspectives into account. So yeah, that might be a concern. So we'll have to wait and see. And yeah, I mean, if they're going to cross a line, then obviously we have to speak up, because we do want, and it's not just about us getting those games. Developers
To,
are very scarce at the moment. So I
to be
mean, if
fair,
if they if they if they don't longer feel that PlayStation is a safe place, to express their views and work with, they might move on to different companies. So that's also
to,
something they have to be careful with.
to be fair though, both Bungie and Insomniac Games didn't stop from getting their own opinion and even do something about it when it
No,
comes
no, no,
to.
no. That's not correct. I mean, Bungie is not officially yet. The deal is not has not complete. So there is no. Um, uh, Technically, Sony can't tell them to do anything at the moment.
Okay, what about
Insomniac,
Insomniac then?
they have officially been told that they have given some money to charity, but they cannot publicly make a statement that they're pro, in this case pro choice, but whatever, insert any viewpoint whatsoever. And also their employees are not allowed to mention Sony or PlayStation in any of the tweets supporting this cause. So yeah, that's a thing. That's something that I don't particularly like. I mean, if they want to accept all opinions, then they not allowing people or your studios to express an opinion is not respecting all opinions. You're basically censoring them.
Gotcha. Go.
Hey, so I agree with Weeb on this one. And another thing that people are failing to realize is that China is a huge PC market. So I get that you want to encroach and do that, but you know what I don't want to happen is that because China is such a huge PC market, I don't want them then to use that as an excuse to encroach further on the PC market, and that's my fear, I guess, is the fact that it is hard to switch. You got to realize they're buying those components and those chips for little bits of nothing over there. So that's the reason why there's such a huge foothold in the PC market, and that the fact that Sony is with their best effort trying to, I guess, get an attach rate there. But I don't want it to then lead to placate them, like kind of we was saying, was them then porting more and more and more games over there to over to the PC side to to placate the huge PC crowd in China.
Gotcha. And Nate?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I could definitely see them, you know, either purchasing or not necessarily outright purchasing because I know there's kind of weird stuff with that, but working a close working relationship, getting essentially as first party as possible as you can in China because I know with a lot of stuff when it comes to that you've got to work through a Chinese company when you're working with them over there. Um, they've got some sort of stipulation with that. So I could see them doing something like that, making sure to secure some of these really great games that are coming out of there, making sure that they stay, um, if anything, at least PlayStation and PC, to secure the revenue for some of these people, to give them a maximum option for some of these new games. Um, yeah, I mean, Ghost is right. I mean, it is a huge PC market, but a large part of that, of course, is because before the establishment of the free market zone, they couldn't even have consoles. So I think it's an interesting experience for people to finally get their hands on it. Um, the PC bangs and stuff like that were really popular though, largely because even though they're cheaper, they're a lot of the parts. A lot of people still couldn't either afford to have them in their home or the size of a PC setup and stuff. They couldn't really work it in. So I think consoles are have a huge potential um, over there to just really expand and really be able to increase market share in a way they haven't had potential to do so ever.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Considering there were none, you're going from none to a potential billion plus, customers all of a sudden, and I think it's clear that the need or the want and the demand is there by evidence, which terribly so, but by evidence of the fact that they are literally scalping uh, PS5s from Japan and selling them to China at an exponentially
Yeah.
high rate. So I mean, they want it. They're hungry. Despite what the Chinese government wants to do. Uh, I mean, they're a video games are huge, and they are huge in China just as well, which is why they keep trying to put all these limitations and all this other stuff on them. But as China just can't ignore it at the same time. Um, as all these things become a much bigger thing, as video games enter the Olympics of all things, and they want to be a global player just as much as anybody else in a lot of these major esports and all these other things happening. So, I mean, I think it's just inevitable that PlayStation secure that by working intrinsically with them, even if, like I said, if they're not fully first party. I think it's a great move, and I think PlayStation has always recognized the need to be that global leader. Um, like Chris was saying, they're in a bunch of places globally where Xbox doesn't even is not even sold. Um, that's not PlayStation's fault. That's Xbox's fault for that one. But I've seen literal fans from certain countries where they're like, I love Xbox. And they're like, I can't even get on Xbox Live in my country or crazy stuff like that. And that's just crazy to me that people are still that loyal, for stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, PlayStation has clearly shown um, that they're willing to commit to that. And I think they will. I think we'll get to see a lot more games out of it. Personally, I'm just excited as a gamer because, I mean, we've already seen some really amazing stuff out of it. And as they get more and more support, I mean, you're talking about a ton of people who've never really gotten to show what they're capable of, um, and all kinds of, interesting ideas that seem to be coming out of this. Me personally, as a fan of like Wuxia and a lot of other stuff, or Wuxia, some people, however you want to pronounce it, I don't really care. A lot of the novels and stuff like that that have come out of both China and Korea have now started to show themselves in video game format, and that's a lot of stories untold. And I mean, those alone excite me. Being able to be translated to video games because they have some of the most insane powers, and like I could just really see them just getting insanely creative in a way like we haven't seen in a long time in the video game space. So yeah, I look forward to it.
Gotcha. By the way, where the fuck are you finding all these games? Spellforce, never heard of it, and beforehand was Self Fusion or something like that?
Are you talking about the trailers?
Yeah, like never heard of a Spellforce.
I'm telling you, man, I'm out here. I'm out here, baby.
You're putting more work right today than you have ever done your
No,
entire time on
yeah,
the show. That's
I've been
insane.
adding trailers to it as we've been speaking. So
I was actually wondering just how long was that video is that you were putting through, and then I read in the comment section that you have been adding trailers. I'm like, damn, he's putting work. Shout out to you with that one.
I got you.
Um, the next topic is gonna be give also Mud already took care of that. Shout out to the Mud. Um, Spider-Man selling 33 million and going to PC. Congrats, PC, you're eating well with this game. Is it impressive though? Because I've seen a few people saying that it's not impressive because it's on two platforms. They're counting PS4 and PS5. But for me, it genuinely feels impressive because I forgot the exact numbers that every single. What was? Does anyone know the number of sales that?
Somebody said that that's 33 million isn't impressive for the
Yep,
both games.
yep,
That's crazy.
They
It's the
yeah.
highest selling superhero franchise, so I don't know why that wouldn't be impressive.
they're bugging.
It's
Like,
higher
yeah,
than
like that is
Arkham series.
if that's not impressive, then any superhero game ain't
Yeah,
impressive.
exactly. It's sold more than
So
Arkham series, and that's
he
on
compared
multiple consoles.
he
Mm-hmm.
compared it to get this. He compared it to fucking what's called
Like Call of Duty or GTA or something.
no, he compared
Grand Theft
no
Auto.
no no, he compared it to what's called what's the name of that game on Switch?
Pokemon Animal
The one
Crossing.
that thank you.
Animal Crossing.
Mm-hmm.
Basically because and mind you, he is not a
Really?
Nintendo dude, he's an Xbox dude, but because Xbox got
Yeah, he had to
nothing
reach into Nintendo's platform.
exactly.
Okay, okay.
So I'm
Yeah,
just
because there's
genuinely
never been an Xbox game to even sell over 20 million ever.
precisely.
Oh shit.
Wait,
No.
didn't Halo do that ever or no?
No, the highest selling Halo I think was like 16 million or some shit like that. Something like that, 15, 16 million,
Oh
which is
man,
like
that
I
was a
think
global
Halo 3.
phenomenon.
My thing is like why these Xbox guys when it comes to sales they just need to leave that conversation because
Yeah.
at the end
Exactly.
of the day they can never talk about their own platform. You know what I mean? Like they always want to pick in what is a failure or what's a success and but when we ask about what about the games on your platform they can't give any
Crickets.
evidence, you know what I mean, or numbers. That's just assumptions.
Oh my god.
Yeah, or they always try to use something else astronomical, like Minecraft or like a Grand Theft Auto. But then if that's the case, then no game is good, including the games on your platform.
Facts.
You
Yeah,
know,
but
like
Exactly.
Right, right. You can't hit them with logic. So I mean, it's pointless. I mean, if you look at Skyrim, Skyrim's been released 7 times over the last 10 years, and it's hit 30 million. So I'm not trying to hear nothing that none of those Xbox guys say. Show me your gamer tag, motherfucker.
no, I think it's
And,
like over
you
40
know,
no,
million.
no, no.
Yeah.
The one
as
that
of
did
November
that, he is a
2021,
gamer. He is a genuine gamer. I know him. He's a friend of mine, but his takes are horrible.
The problem is these people keep comparing. You know what I'm saying? Number one, like Animal Crossing isn't even Animal Crossing. Like when Animal Crossing released was like the height of the pandemic and people were panic buying Switches and
Mm.
like like you couldn't even go in the store. I can go in the store right now and buy like 20 Switches. Like they're still selling fine, but that was like when that game released, like I talked to people because I at the time my job was talking. I was talking to people globally. Like I'm talking. I was talking to people, in China, Japan, all over Europe, all over the United States, South America, because I worked with people who worked for movie studios, and a bunch of people that I talked to that never game were like, "Oh yeah, I bought a gaming console," and most of them, guess what they bought? They bought a Switch because they were like, "Oh yeah, here's this thing that I could take with me, or I could play with it at my house, or I can buy Mario Kart on it." Like I remembered when I was a kid, and all this stuff. Like this woman told me she hadn't played games in like a decade, and when the pandemic hit, she was like, they immediately bought. They bought a Switch. They bought like a N64 retro, and she was like, her and her roommate were in there just going crazy on it because they didn't have anywhere else to go. So like that's where Animal Crossing. I mean, Animal Crossing is super popular, but let's not get it confused. Animal Crossing sold like crack on a stick because of what was going on in the world. Its release date, its timing, everything was perfect.
It was the perfect timing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also, the dynamic is different too when it comes to like Nintendo and anything. When people
Nintendo
buy a
games
Nintendo
exactly.
console, they are buying it for that specific exclusive or the exclusive. There's some people that buy a PlayStation. They're not even thinking about any of the exclusive. They're buying
Mm-hmm.
it for that's a multiplayer
Multiplayer.
game or whatever.
Exactly, exactly. And Nintendo's
and,
always
and
always
also
had that.
And also, like Nintendo's whole demographic. I mean, I know you guys play Nintendo the Switch. I mean, you guys are grown, and I get that. But also, you have to realize that like Nintendo's demographic is just they have that model that they that's the gateway drug to gaming. And so, why wouldn't a parent buy Animal Crossing? Why wouldn't a parent buy Mario? Super Crash, Driving Simulator, whatever. I don't play Switch games, but what I'm saying is like Nintendo has perfected their niche into I guess the gaming sphere because of what they offer. It's $2.99 or $199, and again their games are $60-$70, but they're also very family friendly, family oriented, I guess decent, wholesome games. They are going to sell like crack on a stick, like Nate said, no matter what they drop. Okay, because not only are you the grown people, the nostalgia basis, but then, like I said, it's the gateway. It's the gateway system. I mean,
And they
that's just
successfully
But
sold
inevitable.
the
hard though.
Nintendo put out the demographics, and most of the age demographics is between the age I think it was like 20 to 25, and then after that was like 30 to like 40, and then after that was kids, and
But
then
but but
seniors.
but Chris, here's the thing: seniors, 30, 45, 20. First of all, find me a 20-year-old with no kids. Those parents are
There's a
buying
bunch
them.
of them. There's a bunch. There's a well, I'm just saying. Like, no, I agree with you. I mean, a lot of it is people buying like Mario Kart, and like the highest selling ones are like a lot of the family friendly. The only one that's really not that family friendly in terms of like gameplay, like mechanics in terms of oh, you're just gonna get you and your family get together and casually play it, right? It's like Zelda, right? Then all the other ones that are more hardcore, like Bayonetta and things like that, they're definitely
Right?
not
You haven't
selling.
you
They're
haven't
not
even
selling
seen
like
the
20.
game.
Huh?
Right. Yeah, you're about to say it. You were about to say it. Like your Bayonettas and your Call
Yeah,
of Duties or whatever,
they're
whatever.
not. Yeah, they're not selling like crazy like that on the Switch. Yeah.
But let Kirby come out there and see what it sells, because once again it's the demographics. So those statistics that they're showing, yes, they're the factual numbers, but they're also, I guess it's a little, I don't want to say inflated, but it's people buying it for themselves and for their kids because they are family friendly. I mean, I bought 3 Switches for my kids. Ain't touch. I mean, I'm about to give Omar one of mine because I don't play it. My kiddo don't play it. She's on PS5. She's you know what I'm saying, she's living the dream. But what I'm saying is, I think when Nintendo is an anomaly in of itself, and so they cater and they cater to their crowd, and no parent's gonna, if they're buying the games for their kids, they're not sitting there like, well, wait till it go on sale. Now, we as hardcore gamers or hardcore casuals or whatever the case may be, are willing to wait for a sale, or the Game Pass guys are waiting, whatever they're waiting for, E3. You know what I'm saying? they're you know what I'm saying? It's a different demographic. So, I mean,
they
Nintendo games are
also
just going to sell.
Nintendo have its quirks, but it's also they put out great games too. So I mean,
Oh,
people's
yes.
going to catch on and people's going to want to
Yeah.
play them.
That's what,
Anyways.
yeah, like it's really like I think Mario Kart and probably Mario are like the main ones that are like, that I guess you can say like they're so recognizable
Anything Mario is going to
yeah,
guarantee
that
30 million.
it's not, it's the new generation that gets into it, right? Because the old generation is nostalgia towards it. You know what I mean? So a lot of the new generation gets into it, but also the old, because of nostalgia and stuff like that. But all the other games is like, no, it's definitely like the games have to be amazing on their own for them to even sell that high. Like Breath of the Wild, like that was completely the most different Zelda that there's been, aside from like the very first one. But all the other ones were structured as a very certain way, to the point where there's people who don't like Breath of the Wild because it didn't introduce. I mean, excuse me, it didn't have the traditional dungeons and it wasn't structured the same as the other ones and stuff like that. So in that case, it's nostalgia working against it. But because it was so different and unique, look at that. It's now the highest selling, it's the highest rated and shit like that. That wasn't because of nostalgia, because it was the most different one out of all the other Zelda games. But Mario, yeah, a lot of that shit has to do because of how recognizable he is because of nostalgia, you know.
Gotcha. It's mind-boggling that he literally had to use Nintendo. I'm like, it's insane though. Let's not get it twisted. The sales for Animal Crossing are insane, but I also base that on the fact that Nintendo don't get most of third-party titles, so they're saving a lot of money when it comes to that stuff. And
Yeah, well,
since
that's yeah. I think that's what was a bar that was saying, no, whatever, that like when you like because of that, because Nintendo does their own thing and they create their own hardware and stuff like that, and then they're not creating the same level of hardware as PlayStation or Xbox. So a lot of third parties don't even want to go through the hassle of trying to fucking port it to the Switch or whatever. So naturally they lose out on a lot of third parties, but they sell because people want their games. You know what I mean? And the games is good and shit like that. Like Mario Kart still has to be a good game. At the end of the day, like Mario still has to be a good game. Zelda still has to be a good game. Kirby still has to be a good game at the end of the day. Because if those games were shitty and people didn't like them, they wouldn't be selling as much, as well too. But yeah, I mean that's what the Xbox do. They can't use their own IPs to fight against PlayStation, so they always try to go with like Nintendo or fucking or Microsoft and things like that. I mean, not Microsoft. Minecraft and Grand Theft Auto and things like that.
gotcha.
And
The next,
the way Sony is going, I might be a Nintendo drone by like 2026, full on Nintendo drone, bro. And they the last traditional gaming. They the last traditional as far as like catering to the audience and giving actual true exclusives and stuff like that.
Oh, hey, look what the game is showing. Coffee Religion. If you know, you know. That's an inside joke with Vitamin D podcast. Shout out to Coffee. The next topic is going to be basically state of play. The entire state of play. I'm gonna go. So we held a conversation about it. We held a reaction read about it, and we streamed it. Shout out to NH again for the stream. I'm gonna go to you, Chris. How was it?
Um. Oh yeah, I thought it was absolutely I thought it was really good. Um. I was on a high yesterday, or not yesterday. What was it? Thursday, 2 days ago, right after it, right? And seeing Resident Evil and seeing Final Fantasy and stuff like that. I was at such a high that I was like, oh shit, yo, this shit is a 10 out of 10, right? But when I rewatched it, I definitely brought it back down to like a 9 out of 10. So it's a 9 out of 10 for me. I thought it was or not even like a 9.5 out of 10. I agree with Bari that PC announcement. Knocked down like a half a
I'm
point.
trying to tell you,
You
yo,
know what I
bro,
mean?
they trying to
They
sell you
conditioning
VR.
us.
Yeah, they trying to sell you VR. Then the next games is PS5, and then you have in the middle PC. Like you're not slick.
Yeah,
I see what you're doing, bro. Like
yeah,
They already
what?
did it,
but
so this is nothing new for me. It's
yeah,
just
yeah. No, it's nothing new, but it just still, but it's just still weird. Like the PC announcement should be something like a blog or a tweet or some shit like that, not at a PlayStation
Exactly.
show, like a PlayStation show. You know what I mean? Like there was no benefit. Like I understand if there was like if they announced something with PlayStation with that Spider-Man that will benefit us as well. But that announcement only benefited the PC crowd, not the PlayStation crowd. You feel me? So but no, but other than that, I'm Resident Evil 4. Of course, we knew that was coming. That was already leaked. And if they did 2 remake, they did 3 remake, they did 1 remake, right? So of course they're gonna do the one that everybody loves the most, which is Resident Evil 4 remake. And I knew that was coming here because every single Resident Evil reveal has been at a Sony show. Resident Evil 7 was at a Sony E3. Um, Resident Evil 2 remake, Sony E3. Resident Evil 3 remake was first shown at a State of Play. Resident Evil 8 was at the PS5 showcase, first time. So every time Sony, Capcom usually comes strong, with the support. So I kind of figured Resident Evil 4 would be here. The VR stuff looks cool. I definitely want to check out VR 2. I didn't get the first one because I knew that they would have another iteration, which would be better technology, probably more comfortable, less wires and shit like that. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna hold off on it. But from the VR stuff, it definitely looks pretty cool. I'm definitely open minded to new experiences and stuff like that. I've been gaming for a long time, so I'm definitely, always searching for some type of new experience that I can get my hands on. Um, and Street Fighter 6 looks fucking amazing. Everything about it, the fact that they're putting in like a world tour mode where you get to roam around in Metro City, and probably go to like different gyms and like different fight clubs and shit like that. Build up your little character is going to be a pretty cool addition to the franchise that's never been there before. And then the gameplay looks very, 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 very smooth and fluid and very impressive. I saw the comparison video with Street Fighter 5, and in comparison, Street Fighter 5 looks more stiff. Like Street Fighter, I was like, damn, I was like, Street Fighter 5 looks this stiff. I didn't, because that's how smooth and fluid the animation was, in Street Fighter 6. And and then the roller drome I thought was pretty cool. I thought that was a unique concept. Rolling blading and shooting motherfuckers and shit like that. My only slight critique on the game is I felt like some of the animations were just a little bit stiff, and I think they need to loosen them up or make them a little bit more fluid. But that's just a minor critique. But I thought that looks pretty good. Tunic, I'm excited for it because I keep hearing that game is actually a really good game. So I'm excited for that game to also finally come to PlayStation. And then of course, Final Fantasy 16. Now, Omar, I don't know. I know we're probably gonna get a heavy discussion in it.
hmm?
So I'm probably just gonna give it a brief synopsis of how I felt. And then we could probably discuss it, further along if you want to. But it looks absolutely amazing. Definitely looks way better in terms of the graphics. compared to the first showing. I know some people were kind of complaining about. I thought the first showing still looked good, but I know some people were complaining about that. But Yoshi P did said that that he definitely wanted to improve and touch upon that. So graphics looks absolutely amazing, right? I'm definitely digging the very darker, mature type of vibe. It's gonna be the first M-rated mainline Final Fantasy game, which is a huge deal. Which means that they could do, they could take more risk with the story and stuff like that.
Yeah, because you actually
The-
saw sex in it, eh?
yeah,
Yeah.
but then you also see limb dismemberment as well with
Yeah,
blood and shit like that as well too.
Yeah,
So
Ifrit got his arm blown off.
yeah, exactly. So they're incorporating this. I like how each summon is going to be a character because you have a dominant attached to that summon. So the dominant is going to be the character, or the characters that you interact with and things like that. Like when we saw Titan, the big ball dude that's Titan. We saw him.
Pepper.
We saw him fighting Clive for a bit, and he was kind of transforming as well. So I think that's going to be part of like when you're fighting, right? When you're doing the boss battles against them, you're going to be fighting them in the regular form and shit like that. Then all of a sudden it's going to be like some Attack on Titan shit where they just transformed into the icons, and then you have that big ass fights and everything like that. Because we also saw that they're incorporating summon versus summon battles, and that's also going to be gameplay as well. You know what I mean? They're incorporating that, which is something that's really unique to the franchise that hasn't been done before. So that's something that's new and that they're incorporating for the first time in a mainline Final Fantasy game. And then the combat absolutely looks amazing. Absolutely looks mind blowing. High pace. Action jrpg and stuff like that. And I know we're gonna talk about that, right? The whole turn based and all that stuff debate. There's people that are not digging it, or for but I think that it looks like it's going to be a lot of variety because you're going to be equipping the different icons together, right? So that's one thing that that I think some people are not realizing, that they said that you're going to be able to cater to your own play style. That's what he said. It's still going to be heavy on the RPG side. So even if you're just playing as one character, right, which is new for the series, and this is something that could be very unique. This could possibly be one of the best stories ever as well too, because they're really focusing on this character. But if you look at something like Tales of Arise, right, you have like 7 different characters that each does their own thing, and you have to utilize each of those characters to do their own things, right? Because they all have their own different play styles. But imagine all that party members into just one guy, right? That's pretty much what Clive is. It's like he's like 7 party members, but as one, and you'll be able to switch things out in on the fly. And I thought that the combat looks absolutely amazing as well too. But overall, I definitely give it like a 9 out of 10. Thought it was a great, or 9.5 out of 10. I thought it was a great showcase to start off the summer, and it really sets the tone for what's coming next, at least for third parties.
Gotcha. Before I continue, I want to give a shout out to Totally Blonde. He or she just subscribed. Well, Bethan did half hour ago or something like that, but I wanted to mention it, but I forgot. So shout out to you, and hope to see you again. Barry, what's your thought?
I thought the state of play was amazing, man. It had a lot of great moments, a lot of cool games being shown. Even the smaller games look pretty cool. There was probably only like one real game that I was like, not really like, this is not my cup of tea, and that's probably that season game with the dude or the female on the bicycle. Other than
Oh,
that,
you're not
everything.
interested in
It's
that?
a female. It's a female.
Oh, female. Okay, so my
Yeah.
bad. Other than that, everything looked great to me. That Ether Knights looked dope. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna sit here in front of people like, yeah, hell yeah, I play a dating sim. You know what I mean? With action RPGs, hell yeah,
No,
give
it
me
is
that
an
shit.
action RPG. Dating sim is part of it. I feel you.
No, they said that, Omar. They said this is an action RPG / dating sim.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
I
it is.
know. I literally just said action RPG and
Oh,
dating
okay.
sim is part of it. What's
I
your
think
thought on them
I think
revealing
maybe
it on PlayStation 4? That might be it issue.
Yeah. Because I was hesitant at first, but then when the blog came out and it said PS5 as well, I was like, oh yeah, it's an easy sell for me. But I feel like they did a strong case on selling PlayStation VR 2 because one thing VR is not like an easy sell in my opinion, where it's something that you got to experience rather than just seeing it. But the fact of the games that are coming to VR 2, I feel like who the fuck doesn't want to play Resident Evil Village in VR 2? You know what I mean? Like that's an easy sell right there. Horizon's a big franchise. You know, people's gonna be like, oh shit, a Horizon VR 2 game. No Man's Sky look like it's gonna be amazing in VR in PlayStation VR 2. And the Resident Evil stuff, Resident Evil 4. I don't know if that's gonna be full VR, but because they said content, developing content on there, so I'm not too sure if it's gonna be like fully in VR. But if it is, that'll be cool. But yeah, I think they did a great case in selling VR too. And then when it comes to like PlayStation and PlayStation 5, I think they showed some pretty cool games. Stray got a release date. I was never interested in Stray, but just seeing the gameplay kind of like it piqued my interest. And then the fact that it's in PS Plus, I mean, I'm like, okay, so I'm going to be playing the game regardless. The down part for me, right in the middle, right there, like Chris said, was that Spider-Man PC announcement. I just feel like you don't need to have that stuff at the show. I'm always going to say that. You know what I mean? You don't need to have these things at the show. They know what they're doing. Like I said, they're trying to condition everybody just to get used to PC announcements. But no, announce that joint on a blog or a Twitter post. We don't need all that crap. Because at the end of the day, if you really wanted to announce it, why didn't you announce 33 million sold at the show too? Yeah, you know what I mean. But you save that for the blog or Twitter or whatnot. The roller drone stuff looked cool. Yeah, the animations can be a little bit more, fluid, but I think it just looks awesome. I think it looks like a really fun game. The stuff that I'm seeing the tricks you can pull off, this looks like a really interesting game. Probably like you play this and just have some fun with it. The Callisto Protocol, like I feel like these horror action adventure type games are that's on the rise because in a matter of couple of months you're going to have the Callisto Protocol, Dead Dead Space
Space
remake,
remaking.
and then Resident Evil 4 remake. You know what I mean? Like pretty much back to back. And
all we're missing is Silent Hill 2 remake, and they'll be complete.
or don't forget Abandoned Island. Let me chill. Let me chill.
Chill, buddy, chill. I wanted
Let
to
me
include
chill.
it.
We don't. We
I don't
don't. We
care
don't.
about none of that. I got my
We
soldier
don't
bitch.
My bad, guys. My bad. But not real talk. I'm not even like a horror like game dude like that. But I've been giving these remakes and these games a try, and I've been loving it. Resident Evil 2, I loved it. Resident Evil 3, I loved it. Resident Evil Village, I loved it. Only one I haven't really played yet is 7. I didn't get to play 7 yet. I have it, but I didn't play it yet.
You gonna play
But
Village in VR?
You should play 7 in VR.
I'm shit.
Play 7 in VR, man. I heard it's great.
Nah, I'm good on that. Like Resident Evil. The thing is, I will play Resident Evil Village certain aspects in VR, but there's a certain scene that I would never play in VR. I'm not afraid to admit that.
The dollhouse.
The baby scene.
Yeah, exactly. Nah, I would never. I'll watch people do it, but I would never do it. But yeah, I felt like this was a strong show, man. And then Final Fantasy 16, the trailer looked amazing. Um, the summons look amazing. Like it looks more polished. It looks cleaner. The graphics. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the whole battle system. You know, what I mean, we was breaking that down the other day, and I was like, yeah, this looks great. I don't know what the complaint is. The only thing that I would like to have is I don't know what those 3 bars or that 1 bar at the bottom of the health is for. I'm assuming it's probably like a ATB bar where it ties into like using your items, or it could probably tie into using like a special ability. But it was switching too fast when it comes to the special abilities. So I don't think it's tied to that, but maybe it's probably tied to like item stuff because I feel like the battles in 16 is going to be much longer than a typical battle in Final Fantasy. You're gonna be in there in the fight. You know what I mean? Where these enemies have really good, strong or high HP, and it's gonna be a longer battle. So yeah, maybe it's gonna be tied to like your HP or items. I saw like on top of the health bar they had like a little perk thing. but it wasn't like really, it wasn't highlighted. Maybe they can move that down to where the item things is, so it can just have a more visual pop. Um, but yeah, also yeah, the visual flair I like about with 16 because when you press the R2 button and it switches over to like the icon abilities for the face buttons, there's like this is cool ass like pulse that it does. You know what I mean? I thought that was mad cool as hell. I know it sounds simple. Y'all be like, what the fuck is Barry talking about? A pulse. But yo, it just looked cool as hell, man, in my opinion. But yeah, we got the actual year. So I was wrong on the 2022. It's
Sir,
coming
I was
out in
100% right.
it's coming out
100%.
summer though. Summer though. I was no lie, like I'm not upset that it coming out in 2023 because I even told people like, yeah, I understand your case. It's not like I'm arguing against it. I understand the case. Like it could drop in 2023. But no lie, when I saw the summer in 2023, my heart dropped a little bit. 'Cause I'm like, damn, summer, man. That's a year wait. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, if they say they want to polish it, they want to clean it up, it is what it is. I feel like 2023 is going to be a strong year, regardless in the beginning. So just to have that in the summertime, yeah, man, I'm super excited
Barry,
for
they
that.
said that the game is already like start and finish, like start from start to finish is playable.
Yeah,
So they're gonna spend the a whole year optimizing and polishing it. So the game is gonna look ridiculous. It's
you
gonna
know
look
what that
even
you know what
better
that
than what
means
we saw.
too. You know what that means too when the game is like done like that. I guarantee you, this game is going to have like about 4 official trailers. They're going to trailer you out with this shit, yo.
Oh yeah, that's why I say I'm not gonna watch no more trailers because I know it's gonna be spoiler. I probably watch. No, I'm lying. I'll probably watch the next one, but the final two trailers that they put out, shit,
Real
yeah, I
talk
already know
though,
Square
I still
Enix.
have no idea about the story, and I want to know. I'm going in blind. Like I've watched the
Yeah, I mean,
gameplay.
the website got some stuff from this. Cool. Just to
I
learn about
didn't
the
read
characters is
any.
great though.
I didn't read any because I want to go in blind. Because especially with Final Fantasy, you know how they do the trailer. They tell you everything.
Yep, yep. And then the final thing, Street Fighter 6, that one really caught me off guard because I was not expecting that. But when I look back, and how they revealed Street Fighter 5, it was that teaser trailer. Then they revealed it before Evo, and then Evo we got like the Ken and the Laura and all that trailer stuff at Evo. So it does make sense. The information drop though that they had, man, there was a lot of information
Hmm.
for Street Fighter 6, man. And Street
Do
Fighter
you
6
think
is looking really
it
good.
was leaked? Do you think genuine leaked, or do you think it just
Yo,
Capcom doing
Capcom,
it
Capcom,
on
when it comes to
purpose?
their fighting games, it always get leaked. So I'm not saying this
Yo,
is like a
Capcom, they
legit
always get
leak.
leaked. What's it? They need to up their security or something. They always getting leaked. Like we know Dragon's Dogma 2 and Monster Hunter 6 is coming because it got leaked. Like
Yeah.
this
Yo,
shit
Chris.
always getting leaked.
Yo, it's not even just the characters. Yo, we saw
The
Chung Li
story,
Super.
everything. Oh yeah, and
Chung Li,
Cammy.
yeah, Chung Li, yeah, Cammy, my bad, Cammy Super, her alternate costume. We saw Ken animation as far as like him, in game. Like a lot of stuff is getting leaked
The
here.
entire roster, like the base roster, like also is leaked. It's like I think it's like what 22
Yeah, 22
fighters.
characters.
There's like 22 characters and shit like that, and that whole shit they got leaked. So it's not gonna be a surprise when they announce more characters. I was like, damn,
Yeah, I
what's
mean,
going
I
on
mean,
over there at Capcom?
it's still gonna be fun to see the characters in game, but yeah, like
Yeah,
damn,
yeah, yeah.
it's just sad that every game that they come up with is just like, yo, whoever's the leaker, it got to be somebody that works there. It's just like, yo, fuck it, we're just gonna, we're gonna do what we do. But now, Street Fighter 6 looking amazing, man. I'm liking that whole drive system. It looks like it's gonna be a really fun game. And it's gonna be like you're gonna be able to freestyle a lot in that game due to that drive
Yeah,
system. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
not overpowered.
A lot of dexterity in the
Yeah,
system.
yeah, yeah. Defense is going to be a lot of defense, but you can't. It's not overpowered. Like you can't overuse it. You know what I mean? So that's really smart. Balancing with the game. But hopefully there's like a beta that we can get to play it. Typically they will have one. A year or a couple of months out. So yeah, I'm excited. This state of play was lit, man. PlayStation definitely uh, started with a bang for the whole E3 month, kind of thing. So I'm excited.
Thinking of beta before I go. Oh well, first I'm gonna go to Ghost, then I'm gonna talk about that horrendous move that Nintendo pulled. Ghost, you were not on the show last night. I mean 2 nights ago. What's your thoughts on the show?
I mean, I thought it was a solid 8. Really looking forward to, of course, PSVR. I'm a big VR fan. I enjoy it. And then, of course, Callisto Protocol. I like those type of games. And then, of course, Final Fantasy. So everything that everyone has touched upon, that's I'm all for the smoke. I'm looking forward to it. I think it was a great show. It was well paced. For someone that doesn't have a whole lot. I mean, I was watching it in my office, and as I'm looking over memos, and it was the right amount of time, and the pacing of it was perfect for me. So, I mean, it's just one more thing to get hype about and to be excited about, and like I said, and I've always said. I got games to play over here, man, and as long as you keep doing that, then that's my my multiple $500 purchases of these damn consoles is justified, and that's what Sony continually keeps doing. So keep it coming, and I'm excited.
Gotcha. Okay, and now to the disaster news that Nintendo did, and as an advocate of demos, this is absolutely not it. Do you know what Nintendo did, Chris?
Oh, I mean, I wanted to hear everybody else thoughts on State of Play, but no, go ahead. I don't know what they did.
Oh no, I'm gonna give them the thoughts. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So Nintendo put out Mario Striker demo online, playable at 8 p.m. Tonight for 1 hour.
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't even gonna try it out anyways. But yeah, I mean, if it's literally up for just 1 hour, if that's true, then
Really, 1 fucking hour. Can you believe that?
yeah, then that's yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
what's
that's
wrong
quite
with that? It's a time demo. Nothing wrong
It's
with
all
that.
you son. That's all you
What?
sons of bitch get.
What is
no,
Yeah,
but
one
but
Resident
but, but,
hour
but, but for one
though?
Resident
hour,
Evil had a demo for like 20 minutes or like a half an hour. Yeah, I
oh,
don't see no issue.
hold on. Is it like I can download it? Like, are you saying that I can only play for today for an hour and I can't play tomorrow and spend my hour on it?
Exactly. You can only play it for 1 hour, which is basically from, let's say,
No,
from
but
8
what I
p.
but I'm saying you can only play in that time frame today and not
Yep,
tomorrow or something.
yep.
Oh,
It's
okay,
2
Oh
hours.
that's a different situation.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's what
You
he
know,
asked.
That's a super timed. That's a super timed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Timed.
I
if
thought,
it's
I thought
limited to that day, then yeah, that's a different situation.
yeah,
My
because
bad.
what we're talking about is like like I download a demo right now, but on Monday I play for an hour and then the demo's up or whatever. But he's talking
Oh yeah,
about
no,
you
that's
can only
great.
play for today for an hour and that's it.
Yeah,
He's like you can't play
Oh yeah,
tomorrow or the next
that's
day.
ass.
Yeah, that's whack.
Mario Striker Battle League First Kick limited time demo up on US Shop. Friday June 3rd to Sunday June 5th. Okay, so no, you was right, I'm wrong.
Oh, okay,
So
so
it's
yeah, so
just
that's for a 3 day period. Okay, yeah, then
you
it's
know,
whatever.
then that's nice because okay, so what it made it seem for just 1 hour. That's,
Yeah, I don't see no
that's
issue with that.
yeah. No. Welcome to what's called Weeb. What is your thought on? I know you already gave it to thought code, but Chris was not here, so go ahead.
About the state of play.
Yep.
Oh no, if they already give it a thought, then that's fine. We can move on.
Now we're gonna go very fast because we have now chat also. So go ahead, Weeb.
Oh, yeah, I liked it. I mean, it was a solid show. They really came out swinging. Um, yeah, I mean, Resident Evil 4 remake reveal was a big get. I still think it's the most unnecessary remake ever, but I mean, the game is already perfect. You know,
Well, so they already said that they're gonna change it with the
yeah,
remake.
but that's the thing. Like, why change something that's already perfect, right? I mean, I can get it with 2 and 3 because the graphics are
Final
very dated, but this
Final Fantasy
still
Yeah,
VII
looks
so
good.
Remake
like
won't have
I
a
love
word with you.
Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games of all time, but there was some parts in the game where it was a little bit bloated, like the castle area. There's some things that they can cut just a little bit when you replay it. At the time, I was like, yeah, this is the best game ever, right? But when you
Right,
replay it,
that castle, right.
there's certain things that they can just tighten up, a little bit, and it's not gonna be the same shit. It's not gonna be the same remake. It's
Mm.
gonna be like Resident Evil 2 as well too. So, um, as long as it's fucking amazing, like I'm always open minded to new things, man. I'm always
No,
even
of course, but
yeah.
I'd rather. I mean, Go Veronica's probably makes more sense to me to remake that because that's basically Resident Evil 3, uh, the real Resident Evil 3,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
but yeah, I think there were rumors that they were also working on that, so probably get that after 4 releases. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, I also think probably we gonna gonna get more Ashley sequences because I think we did see some. So I think we saw her before she got captured. Something in the trailer. So I suspect we're gonna have to play with her more than in the original game, which we'll have to wait and see. Maybe they're gonna change her
Do you think it's
story.
gonna be as useless as in 4?
I think that's probably one of the parts they want to fix because they have heard that feedback. I mean, if they don't fix that, I don't know why they remade this game. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm actually interested in the bicycle simulator game because it actually looks really interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy 16 looked great, so I'm looking forward seeing more of that. What else? Yeah, oh yeah, and of course, Stray, the cat simulator. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna get that one. Other than that, yeah, I mean, it was. I think there was also an anime game they announced. I forgot the
It's an
title.
action adventure with dating sim. You interested?
Yeah, the dating sim game. Yeah, which kind of surprised me. I thought Sony was censoring all these kind
I
of games,
mean, yeah.
but gameplay wise, it looked interesting. So
Yeah.
I might give it a chance. But yeah, I mean, overall, great show. So yeah, I'm looking forward to what else they're gonna show. And
You
yeah,
interested in what's called Street Fighter?
yeah, I mean, I haven't bought 5 because I barely played 4, so I not particularly, but it does have sort of a single player, I guess, career mode or whatever it is. So maybe I'll check it out. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm not particularly interested in fighters. I do buy them occasionally because they're fun to play when you're couch co-op. But otherwise, yeah, I'm not, to say, skilled enough to play competitively. So not particularly, but maybe I'll pick it up if the sort of the single player portion is interesting enough, or the campaign portion, whatever you want to call it.
Gotcha. And eight. Or
Yeah.
actually, I'm gonna save you for last because we can then go through the entire Final Fantasy conversation.
Yeah,
Morgan.
that's fine.
Oh, see, I think she. No, she's still here.
She's here.
So she's
Yeah.
muted. Okay.
Morgan said she had to use the bathroom, so she'll be back.
Nah, she's asleep. She fell asleep. Leave her. Okay, then we're gonna go to you,
Joking,
Nate.
I'm joking.
Or rather, yeah, you and me, and then we're gonna start the Final Fantasy 16 conversation, or rather, just jrpg in
I
general.
mean, I'm gonna keep it honest with you. That conversation's not as complicated as you think from me.
We
So
we go, it's
yeah.
gonna get complicated. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So I mean, the state of play was good. I mean, I guessed a number of things would be there. I like what I saw. The pacing was good. Like everybody pretty much said, it was a solid, basically 8.5 for me. I wasn't super surprised or crazily excited by anything that I saw. I mean, I like what I saw. I need to see more of most of what I saw before I get to that realm. Um, but I thought it was a great showcase for exactly what they said. You know, they're showcasing the third parties. Um, and I liked what I saw. So I mean, I look forward to playing a lot of those games going forward. And yeah, like I said, it was a solid show. It's not complicated for me. Also, I think Morgan's
Gotcha.
back.
Hey, Morgan, what's your thoughts on the show?
I thought I saw her lighting up,
Okay,
so maybe not.
then
Go for it.
for me, the show is between an 8 and a 9 or a 10. It's the Spider-Man situation. I don't care about it. I got you. It's not that I got used to it. I still find it irritating, but it's like you need to accept it and move on, or you're not gonna
They
have fun.
conditioned you. They conditioned you, Omar.
No, I literally just said it's just a matter of accept
You
it and
got
move on.
converted.
Otherwise, because you can't do anything about it. Okay, what can you do about it? Tell me.
You could tag Jim Ryan.
Yeah, you can. That's why he's saying there's no adverse reaction. You can
He's
say your
not even
opinion.
on Twitter though.
Tag Herman or somebody. Shoot hate. I don't know.
Herman
Shoot,
doesn't
I
care.
mean,
yeah, yeah.
there's a
I
lot that we can't do about it. It's in there. It's in their corporate strategy. But I'm still going to voice my opinion as far as
Me
like how I
too.
feel about
Me
it.
too. I know. I feel you, buddy. I feel you in every step. Just the reality is that it. Um. Welcome to Street Fighter. Yo, Joe, that Street Fighter, that shit looks fantastic. Especially with Ken's story. Like, I'm more interested in Ken's story. I like a good comeback. I want to see where you go from there. And mind you, I never played any Street Fighter game before. I grew up with Tekken and Mortal Kombat, so that's that. But that shit looks hype as fuck. I don't know if it's the trailer that made it hype or the music, but that shit looks fantastic. That anime game, I'm banking on a PS5 with haptics, otherwise disappointing. But the way they revealed it, I doubt that they're gonna have haptic feedback. Tunic finally coming to PlayStation. I want to play it, but I really hope for it having DualSense support, or else that would be an L. Because if that door can do it, then why can't Tunic do it? Final Fantasy, we're gonna get soon into it. Um, Resident Evil 4, played it, loved it back then. Now, uh, I'm gonna see how it goes because I never played the remake of 2 because I'm just not that much of a horror guy. I grew out of it. Polyp- uh, Calypso Protocol, on the other hand, that looked interesting. Fan of enjoyed Death Space, so I'm interested in the gameplay that they're gonna reveal at Summerfest, or rather the demo. Yeah, that bicycle game, believe it or not, that's right up to my alley. That's a hidden gem. I believe that's gonna be. Not every game needs combat, and I'm cool with that. Just let me know beforehand. I'm down for some puzzle and some storytelling. Oxenfree, I'm looking at you. I love Oxenfree. It and then you have the heavy hitters. Final Fantasy. You have what's called. I think just Final Fantasy. Yeah, no, it's so well now. Before we start, Morgan, you here? Final time.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, then what's your thoughts on the state of play?
Morgan
Um,
said that she'll be back. She has to walk the cat. So Oh, my bad, Morgan. My bad. Go ahead, Morgan. My bad.
It's all good. It's all good. My bad. I had to go get my food. I'm sorry. So you already know my thoughts. I thought it was fantastic. 9 out of 10 for me. My expectations were low. It's usually how they are for state of plays. Everybody comes with like the big guesses of what's going to be there, and it usually falls through. But this state of play was probably one of the best in a long time. That's not a dedicated state of play. I had to give Omar his flowers before the show because this man guessed about everything that was going to be in the show, and he was correct. And I was like, damn, right? So yeah, I took the L on that, but that's okay. It's an L I'll gladly take. But yeah, the one thing, well, two things that I wanted to see at the show were Stray and the Little Devil Inside. So I got half of what I wanted, and I'm glad that we got a Stray release date because that's a game that I've been looking forward to. So July, I'm all in for that. It started off strong with Resident Evil 4. Wasn't expecting that. I was expecting it to be a Sony announcement because, like Chris said, Sony and Capcom have like a great relationship, and they're always announcing their Resident Evil games with Sony. I wasn't expecting it so soon though. So yeah, that surprised me, and the amount of VR titles that looked interesting. I will not be playing any Resident Evil game in VR. No, the way, I'm too much of a scaredy cat. Like I will break my TV throwing the controller into it. So I'm gonna avoid all Resident Evil games, but I will be playing Horizon VR. That looks fucking phenomenal, and I'll probably try out No Man's Sky in VR. So yeah, that was great. And like everybody said, I did point that out when we were watching State of Play live, how PlayStation thought they were slick trying to put the Spider-Man port like right in the middle and would just move on like, all right, Spider-Man port. Okay, anyway, I was like, yeah, they're not slick with that shit. But it is what it is. I'm, happy for all the PC players who get to experience greatness because, we about to move on to Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine anyway. So, have at it with our leftovers. But yeah, there wasn't a point in the show where I was bored or I don't know. Oh damn, I don't know who that is. Where I was bored or just kind of twiddling my thumbs, waiting for it to end, like usually I am in state of play. It was just
So no
they
fluff
hit on a
moment.
high note. You said what?
No fluff moment.
Yeah, they hit on a high note like every single time. I was just like, oh wow, like I didn't think it would start high and end high. So shout out to PlayStation for that.
So
It was a
what we
great
should do? You know what we should do? We should
what?
all go on Twitter, right? And ask Insomniac, is Spider-Man 5 exclusive to PlayStation or ever coming to PC and see how they
Yeah,
react.
don't set them up like that. Don't set them.
We're gonna set
Everybody
them
is
up.
being
Like
petty
you
right
about to make me
now.
lie on the stand.
We're gonna set them
Everybody
up.
is being petty.
Yo, real talk, I will ask them, but I'm mad cool with Insomniac, so you know what I mean? I'm gonna fall back. I ain't gonna do it.
I would
Be
never
like,
You
do
know
that.
you know what they're gonna say? Just like Spider-Man for PlayStation 4, which is actually still exclusive, it's gonna be
mm-hmm.
the same answer
Yeah, so
because
technically they didn't
technically,
lie.
yeah, the
It's the
remaster is
remaster.
not the same game.
So
And
technically we
hey,
didn't
that
lie.
doesn't work. That doesn't fly. You
Hey,
Nah,
can.
nah.
hey, bruh, can you can't play the remaster, anywhere but on the PlayStation 5 and PC. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they just
That
don't see
original,
it.
still PS. Yeah, the original still PlayStation exclusive.
Hmm.
But yeah, they thought they would slick with that shit, but it's cool. Um, what was I gonna say? It was a great start off to Summerfest. Get me hyped. It's been kind of dry out here in these gaming streets, and I've been looking forward to gaming news. So this has somewhat quenched my thirst. I'm ready for everything else to follow. So good job, PlayStation, starting it off strong like that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Gotcha. We have a new comment link. What you thought on the show? Going once, going twice, and I'm gonna move on.
It always takes Link like a minute to get his stuff situated. It's like there he
Okay.
goes.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me,
Yeah, we
guys?
hear you.
Yeah. Nah, I just got off work, man. I just saw you were live, so I just hopped in here.
Welcome.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts
What are
on
you
the
guys talking
PlayStation?
about? What's the topic right now?
Yeah, what's your thoughts on the PlayStation Showcase?
The show was solid. I mean, it was a great show. A lot of games that I'm going to buy. So for me, that's what's most important. When I see things that I'm interested in picking up, it's definitely gonna be a good show for me. I will say when they first showed Spider Man, he came up on the screen. I was like, "Oh, are they about to show Spider Man 2?" Then I looked down and I saw PC, and I said,
Hold up,
ah.
you never got the memo that they said no first party titles?
Well, that is technically a first party title, but like they say, there's always like maybe like sometimes they'll sprinkle something in there. I wasn't expecting them to show anything, but you could always be surprised. You know what I mean? So when I'm sitting there and I see Spider Man, I was like, I look down and I see PC, and I'm like, oh man, it kind of just ruined the momentum of the show. It kind of like grinded it to a halt. It didn't need to be shown there. It could have been a blog post. They're trying to make us accustomed to seeing PC and PlayStation together and us just being like, okay, but that didn't need to be there. Final Fantasy 16, man, that was pretty epic seeing that. I'm really excited about that. The combat looks insane. So, I mean, overall, to me, I would have given it a 10 if they hadn't shown that Spider-Man on PC. So I'll give it a 9 out of 10. So that's my
Got
thoughts on the show.
Gotcha. As for
You know, what's the
and
funny part about the show too? Like, even the non-PlayStation fans, like when that Spider-Man announcement came, that they seemed like, oh, you know what I mean? Like they wasn't like super excited about it. Like that was like the down part of the goddamn. I would watch a lot of reactions, and people was just like, oh, okay, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
the
It's just
thing
it
mean,
was
about it
weird.
thing about it
well,
is, I get they have a strategy. I get it, putting their old games on PC. But at the same time, if you're doing a show, like that doesn't need to be there. I just don't think that adds anything to the show if it's a PlayStation show.
again, this is PlayStation almost like uh giving you or what's the word you said? Convicting you? Body?
Yep, they're conditioning.
Yeah, thank you. Connecting you to accept uh PC is a platform with PlayStation, basically. Because they did it with Uncharted, and now they do it. So every state of play, you bet your money they're gonna show you something PC related.
No, the
That
Uncharted PC, that was actually a showcase, not even a state of play.
yeah, but still it was
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That was on the big. That was at their bigger show. You know what I mean? A PC announcement at the bigger show. It's like, nah, bro. It's like I don't want to see no fucking PC announcement at a PlayStation show.
I feel you,
No,
and
no, absolutely
that
not.
shit should be left in. Well, if it's up to me, left in draft, but left on a tweet or something like that. But I understand what they're doing, and hey, if we gonna we just saw the sale numbers for Horizon, God of War, and what's the other game? They've gone, I think. They all did abysmal numbers.
They did terrible.
None of them cracked the 3 million. Like that's crazy, and they're still moving with this move, which is
A
why.
lot of them were probably
Well,
cracked.
Sorry, what do you
well,
want to say,
it's a
Monica?
common. Oh, go
I
ahead,
said
go ahead.
because a lot of them were probably cracked. That's
Oh yeah, of course piracy. But also, you got to think most of the people who really, really wanted to play those games have bought and played those games. There's a small subset of people on PC who are never going to buy a console that aren't selling the high seas that are going to purchase the game. But there's just not a large majority on PC that are willing to buy those games because if they really wanted to play those games, they would have bought a PlayStation and bought those games.
Well, most of them are selling the high seas because God of War's piracy is like 5 times higher than the actual
Oh
game
yeah, it
cost.
is. It is. Yeah,
that's
of course. Yep.
Yeah, I was like, as a PC player for over 20 years, the last thing I'm gonna do is downplay piracy. I know people try to make that shit seem like it's not a thing just because a game here or there sells decent numbers on PC. No, they be cracking the shit out them games. And God of
Yeah.
War was available day one. It was easy as fuck. Don't let nobody tell you it's hard as fuck to pirate on PC. It's fucking not. Uh,
No, most of the PC games that sell extremely well are usually ones that involve something to do with online. You
well,
know, like PC
exactly.
centric games, because right, which by then they're just hacking, right? So, or like usually like the really like the only single player games that really sell a lot on PC are usually like the like some of the Western RPGs,
Yeah,
like
like Witcher.
Witcher or
Because of
Skyrim.
largely because of the
Yeah,
modding community.
the modding,
Exactly.
exactly that exactly. But these single player action adventure games and shit like that, nah, they don't be selling like that. You
And
know,
make no
on
mistake, they
PC.
want them, but they just don't want to pay for it.
Hmm.
And people that think, oh, if it went day and date, it would just sell like a crack ton more. No, it wouldn't. I give them 500,000 more or something if it was day and date, and it would significantly drop the numbers on PlayStation because the crossover is significant. And people who think it's not are lying, and because they know it is, because they the same people that got a PlayStation and a PC. They just lying.
You know what's crazy
Next
too?
week,
I'm
right? They
hearing like
are.
a lot of the PlayStation games because due to the fact that they don't have like no online component, there's no DRM. Like
Hmm.
people is just pirating these games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
PlayStation they
You ain't
still
gotta
making a
wait.
lot of bank from it, but they pirating the hell out of these games. There's videos to tutorials how to pirate God of War and all that shit. I was like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's not hard. Like people try to severely downplay it. Just like it's the same thing with the cheating. Like people, I can't stand the way I love playing on my PC, but I can't stand the way people downplay a lot of the problems on PC. Um, like I said, as far as like the cheating and the pirating is extremely rampant and extremely easy. It is the easiest thing you will ever do. It took me longer to set up an emulator for the Wii U the other day, and in the time frame it took me to set that up, I could have pirated like God of War 100 times in the time frame, and my
Wait,
internet speed
what?
ain't even the fastest.
Which game? Which console?
The Wii U.
I think you're using Dolphin then.
I don't
Oh
remember.
no, wait, you. No, no, that's different. I thought GameCube. That's Dolphin. Never mind.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called, but I mean, I had to set it up because I wanted to play Xenoblade Chronicles at a higher
Oh,
FPS or Xenoblade
isn't
Chronicles X.
Xenoblade on Wii? I mean, Switch.
Nah, not X. X is only on the Wii U.
What is Xenoblade X? Because I'm
Exactly.
getting into the franchise, and the only thing that I am capable of playing is 1, 2, and later 3.
So, Xenoblade Chronicles X is what came out between Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. There was a release on the Wii
Okay,
U
gotcha.
that required an external hard drive in order for you to play it.
Is
Um,
that crazy that it's not bundled with 1 and 2 remastered?
it's the only one that they haven't brought over at this point.
Because they have to fundamentally change control aspects of the game, because the way they designed the game on the Wii U is you needed the Wii U pad on separate from the TV, because they had things on the Wii U pad. So they have to like work the control. It's the same thing with like Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword was all motion control, so they had to rework the controls to make sure it was playable on the Pro controller or with the Joy Cons when they did the remaster on the Switch. So that's they can still do it, but I think that's one of the hurdles that on why it's either taking them so long or why they still haven't brought it out yet. Because I definitely want to play Chronicles X as well.
Gotcha. Okay, and the final topic is as follow. Is JRPG a dying turn-based JRPG a dying breed? And the only reason I started it, I this was actually one of my very first topics when I started this channel, and I have now been seeing JRPGs shifting away from turn-based for the longest when it comes to popular titles. And yes, indies are taking over, but I'm like, nah, dude. Mm, I want my JRPG template to stay. I want them to be what's called important to stay important. it's okay to do a franchise here, a franchise there, or what's called a branch off and do your own thing. Like that's not an issue. But when you're literally doing it with your main franchise, that's when I'm like, no, dude. And the latest example is none other than 16, and I'm torn because from the music to the concept of what 16 is about, again, I have absolutely no idea what the story is about, nor do I want to know. I want to play it and then give my opinion about it. Um, I'm loving the fact that they are now putting summons in the high front. That one of the main issue when it comes to 15 for me was the fact how you could literally go through the entire game without ever summoning Bahamut or Shiva or whoever in that game is because of the conditions that you had to go through in order to summon them. So with how 16 putting summons in the forefront, like I fucking love that. And the fact that it's also rated M, I think it's rated M, right, Chris? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, they haven't rated it yet, but I mean, there's blood. We saw a lot of
Okay.
blood in the first one. You know,
Bari, can you correct me if I'm wrong? When it comes
potentially
to 16,
nudity.
is it rated M?
Oh my! I just
Yeah,
literally said
Chris.
it. It
Yeah, Chris
hasn't
has said
been.
it's rated M.
Another
Yeah.
I
okay.
literally.
Wait.
What?
You ain't hear Chris?
Hello? Can you
Anyone
hear
hear
me?
me? No, I don't hear you, Chris.
Oh man, he might be.
Nor you, Innate.
Yeah,
Am I
something's going
having
on with
an
his
issue?
sound.
1 second, I'm gonna go out and come back in.
Can
Yo,
you
you
hear
hear
him?
me?
Yeah, now I hear you. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Outside my
Yeah.
He just said yeah.
Yeah. All right. Um.
Yo, Chris is
Shit.
funny, yo.
Whoa. Yeah. Yeah. You hear me now, Omar?
yeah, I hear you.
No, I said, what? I mean, yeah, it's gonna be unrated. I mean, it hasn't officially been rated, but like we seen a lot of blood before. Like even in the first trailer, we saw a lot of blood splatter and if it ripping somebody. Then we see a little bit of the nudity in this one. You know what I mean? So it is definitely gonna be a mature rated game, 100%.
I mean, you can see
Gotcha.
it now on the screen.
Yeah, fair point, but I just wanted to know for sure if it's already got a rating or not yet.
Yeah,
Um,
but
so
Omar, to go to your question, like are turn-based games dying? No, matter of fact, they're actually growing a little bit more in popularity today than before. Like you look at something like Persona 5 is selling more than what it did before. Um, Shin Megami Tensei is selling more than what it did before. Like a lot of these games are selling. Octopath Traveler did 2 million just on the Switch. You know what I mean? Alone, like, and that game in the 360, that shit wouldn't even reach 300K or whatever. So um, the genre is definitely not dying. It's definitely not going away and stuff like that. Even like the next Dragon Quest 12, like that's pretty much confirmed. Is that's going to be another turn-based game as well, and it makes sense for Dragon Quest because Dragon Quest is not a series that hasn't really, in terms of its gameplay, hasn't really reinvented itself. You know what I mean? Over and over again, it's pretty much stuck traditionally the same. So for Dragon Quest, yeah,
Right.
it makes
actually,
sense.
Dragon Quest have
Eh, eh,
multiple franchise. It got Dragon Quest and it got Dragon Quest
The main one
But I'm
does.
Builder.
talking about, come on, Omar. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the mainline games. Of course, the spin-offs are always going to have something different, right? The thing with Final Fantasy is a franchise that's known to constantly change itself. You know what I mean, and reinvent itself over and over again, do something new and unique, different each time. So the first couple games, like it was like the first 4 games started with like the traditional turn-based, the traditional like Dragon Quest and stuff like that. Of course, they tweaked some of that stuff, right? And then I think it was 5 is when they started doing the active turn-based, which was different than the traditional turn-based. So that was something that was different because they wanted it to be a little bit more faster and a little bit more faster pace and stuff like that, right? Than the traditional turn based. So they started introducing the active turn based, and of course, that went on in 6, and then And then, then 7 was like, is one of the first time that they actually changed themes. Well, I think 5 they started changing themes, but 7 is they started doing more modern and sci-fi, right? 7 has a little bit of sci-fi and modern and steampunk and stuff like that. And then the material system was something completely fucking, new, unique, and crazy. You could do a lot of broken builds and shit like that. Had the active turn base as well. And then, from there on, then people got to understand it's like even 7, from people who was going from 6 to 7, there were divide there was a divide on that stuff. Most people love 7, but there was a divide. So put, like, I would say post 6, like damn near every Final Fantasy game has always had some type of controversy and divide and shit like that of what like the fans want the series to be, right? But the theme started changing. It was no longer like medieval and shit like that, right? So the theme started changing. And then you get to 8 where they had the junction and draw system, which I hate that system, honestly. I really do. I hate the junction and draw system and shit like that. 9 they went back to traditional, and then 10 they try to do something new with like the swapping the characters out in the sphere, the sphere grid and shit like that. And then
One of the
11
best
they went
battle systems.
then 11 they went MMO. And then 12 they kind of did the MMO style as well with 12. And then 13 they had the active turn base with the paradigm shifts. That was different. And then 15 they went action.
Also
And
one
then
of the best battle systems.
yeah, and then 15 they went action. And then 7 remake they went with a hybrid system where you do action and active turn based right at the same time, and so and things like that. So when it comes to these other franchises, like I understand, like people's like, yo, like if it ain't broke, they'll fix it. But multiple franchises usually changes their shit up. Like Resident Evil changed 1, 2, and 3 was different from 3, 4. I mean 4, 5, and 6. I like a lot of these franchises, and then now went first person and things like that. Like a lot of franchises that try to reinvent themselves, because if Final Fantasy stuck with what it did from 1 through 4 this entire time, guess what? People will be complaining that it's like, oh, it's still the same shit. It's still the same thing or whatever. But at the core, Final Fantasy has always been a deep storytelling RPG at its core, right? When it comes to characters and stuff like that, exploration, and things like that. Whatever. The combat was just, it was there was just like another thing added to it, right? So with 16, it's still at its heart a core Final Fantasy, like, and it's even going back to its medieval settings, and is using the crystals themes that's been a theme all throughout the Final Fantasy series for the most part. They got a little way. Some of them don't have it, right? And then incorporating the summons as a story or whatever. So at its core, it's still a Final Fantasy game, right? So I don't understand, like, when people is like, yeah, of course this is like what the third game that they're doing like that is actually like a full on action, right? But the other games they try to switch it up as well. So with Final Fantasy, it makes sense that this was the way that they were going. So like I don't understand why people are trying to be whole Final Fantasy like it has to be like a turn-based game, or else it's not a Final Fantasy game. You may not like it, and for the people who don't like what they're doing with the new battle system, that's completely fine. They're entitled to that opinion. I don't really have an issue with those people. It's just the people that saying that because it's more on the action side, right? That is no longer an actual true Final Fantasy, or they're dismissing it, or they're not willing to give it a chance. It's all about execution at the end of the
Right.
day, right? It's all about execution. If it's executed very well and it's fun to play and it's deep and it's depth, it still has the RPG, right? Because we know it's the guy who made Devil May Cry, right? So obviously we see a little bit of similarities between the combat here and the combat with Devil May Cry, but it's still a Final Fantasy. It's still gonna have an RPG twist to it. It's still gonna have it's not gonna be a copy game. So the people who may not like Devil May Cry's battle combat, it doesn't mean that this one's gonna play exactly the same, and you're not gonna like this one. Yeah, it's like high paced action or whatever, but as long as there's variety and things like that. So, and then the story looks amazing. That's what I'm saying. This one is actually, Final Fantasy is a game that actually tries to be unique and original with every single entry. Sometimes it doesn't work out. It didn't work out with 13 and shit like that. You know what I mean? And that's because they didn't execute it well, not because they changed things. And when you change things because it's bad. No, God of War changed in 2018 and everybody loves it, right? The change is not always good or bad, but it's at its core, it still feels like a hard, like, traditional Final Fantasy game in terms of the themes and what they're trying to go with the story and things like that, incorporating the summons and shit like that. And then the battle system is just like whether you like it or not, like it's going to be something that's fucking deep and that a lot of people are going to enjoy. You know what I mean? And it's not this whole thing. It's like, oh, they're going action, so they're trying to sell more. Of course, the action appeals more worldwide to people, right? But action games really don't sell crazy like that. Devil May Cry just hit 5 million in like 3 years. Bayonetta doesn't really sell crazy like that, so that's not even like a thing. But but I don't know. Somebody else could go. Like that's what I'm saying. For the
Yeah,
people, there's people that are gonna be like, nah, I just don't like. I want turn based, and that's completely okay. But I had an issue with the people saying, oh, now it's not a Final Fantasy game, or they completely changed the genre because of it, or that since there's no party members that you can control, at least for now that we know of. I think they said that girl is gonna join you or whatever. So who knows? Maybe we'll control her at some point. But since it's saying that because of that now the story is not gonna is gonna be bad and lack depth because you're not gonna have multiple characters. They show multiple characters that what I mean. That's gonna be part of the story or whatever. So it's just those people that are telling these developers that they can't call this game Final Fantasy when this is what they wanted to create. This is their vision. Then that's the thing people need to understand. This is an all-star team. When they list the developer list, right? Yoshi P, the composer, right? Soken, the fucking all these other people that worked on numerous of other games, and some of the best Final Fantasy games or whatever. This is an all-star team at Square Enix. They've been working hard at this. They said the game is start to finish is done, so they're gonna spend the rest of the year optimizing it. This is the same team that made 14 into like the biggest MMO, and everybody talks about how amazing the story is. In the actual MMO settings or whatever. So this is, I believe, this is gonna be an actual very very special game, and I just hope people are just like that are more iffy on the fence about it. Just have an open mind. Really, just have an open mind to try it out. If you don't like it, then it's whatever.
gotcha. Nate?
Mm. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, I was pretty vocal about I don't really give a fuck about the combat. Um, so far, from what I've seen from it, uh, I don't like it. It very much is reminiscent of Devil May Cry, and if it's anywhere near close to that shit, I can't stand that fucking game. So I mean, it's not a ploy to anyone or um, that likes it. That's fine. I think Devil May Cry is personally a great game that I just don't fucking like, and that's fine. Um, I'm personally, as far as what RPG elements are going to be present in the game, I'm not going to say that because we don't fucking know that yet. So I don't know how RPG it's going to be or any of this other shit. So I'm not going to speak about stuff I don't know about. So we'll
What the
see.
developer said is gonna be heavy into the RPG as well
What
too,
did
as
I
far
say?
as
I said I don't know what it
yeah.
is though. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I'm not. I know, but I'm informing you that developers themselves said that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know what that is yet though. That's my point.
But there is no clear-cut explanation what that is,
Yeah, what
so
is
we
an
can't
RPG
go.
thing? It's telling me it's going to
Yeah,
be
exactly.
heavy on RPG elements. That's nice. I don't know what that is yet. So when I know what that is, then I'll have that conversation. So I'm not gonna guess. I'm not saying I don't believe them. I'm saying I don't know what that is. So when we know what
You
that
don't know what
is,
RPG elements are?
when we know what they mean by that, then we can have that conversation. That's my point. Of course, I know what RPG
Anything
elements
can
are.
be JRPG element. We just simply don't know.
Yeah,
To
people have
to
been arguing that for like the last year. What makes this an RPG? I don't know how many times I've seen that conversation. So what they
We
mean by
literally
that?
had a conversation with Horizon. Sorry about that,
No, no.
Nate.
Yeah, exactly. Like it keeps coming up. So that's why I said what they mean by that. Then we'll have that conversation when they show us that. So far, they haven't shown us that. So far to me, it looks. What they've shown me is essentially Final Fantasy with a spectacle fighter skin, which looks amazing for their you know uh, for what it is. The game looks great. Final Fantasy's never had a graphical problem or a fidelity problem. That's part of the reason why they've always been held as the forefront of what RPGs are expected to go towards. They've always had the budget behind them for that kind of stuff. Um, what it turns into from there, I don't really know. I think the summons and stuff like that looks great. How all this stuff plays once we actually finally get a hand on it will be interesting. The game still has an entire year, so I mean I don't know what we'll play in the end. I look forward to it. because I mean it's a mainline Final Fantasy title. They don't come out all that often. You got to take it for what it is, and I hope it's the game that I think it can possibly be. Um, and to the other notation, my personal take on not liking Devil May Cry is not a dislike in active combat. For the record, it is a dislike in Devil May Cry's combat because I love the combat in Tales of Arise. Part of my problem with active combat, though, is unlike what everybody thinks. A large portion of what someone brought up the other day was also how limiting it can be. Personally, for me, I don't like the way the structure is, where there's only so many buttons on on a controller. It's the same thing in Tales of Arise. You have to constantly remap um, the different buttons and stuff like that. There's only so many skill sets you can push out while in this active combat form versus the infinitesimal number of skills you can employ while you are in an environment where you can select these skills to execute them. And that could be something that they do too. Again, like I said, we haven't really seen anything. All we've seen is still essentially a trailer of someone executing some sort of combat. So I'm not saying that it's going to be that way or what it's going to be because essentially, like I said, we still don't know. Just based on what it looks like, I don't like it as it pertains to the moment. But like I said, I could be entirely wrong. They could be inventing an entirely new combat system that is going to allow you to execute a lot more move sets than something that is as limiting as the Tales series was, or as something like Strangers of Paradise is, where you have to constantly swap these skills in and out because there's only so many buttons and so many combinations you can use while in combat. So that's part of the reason why I don't like that system because it limits my strategy going into the actual combat, and I prefer having all my abilities on the table when I'm going into a strategic scenario, and that's why I believe personally the combat is less strategic in that manner, um, but it's more tactical because tactics are obviously active combat. So that kind of stuff, it's neither here nor there. Like I said, we still ultimately my problem is I'm looking forward to it, and I just don't know what to expect. Like I said, it's fine that they said it's going to have or incorporate all these other elements. Like I said, when they show that and we see how that's actually incorporated into the game, then we'll see whether that's swapping out armor, what that looks like, upgrade systems, skill set systems. None of that stuff we know how that's going to be incorporated or where we're going to go from there. So when we see that, then I'm definitely ready to have that conversation. Um, as far as people talking about the story not being good, I mean, no, literally no one knows that. Like that's a stupid argument. Um, as far as party members, I get some people want them or but again, that's another aspect. We're still not even sure how that is going to work entirely. Yeah, it looks a specific way based on the very, very, very limited view we've seen of the game so far, with him battling and you seeing the 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 damn summons with him or whatever. We still don't know who has the summons, how that works, how you acquire them, how you don't, if it's inherent. There's just so many holes. Like I said, it's not to garner to take away any excitement from the game. I'm as excited as the next person, but I'm also you know well aware of the amount of details we're missing when it comes to playing the game. So I'm looking forward to see what they're going to show from here until the next year. I mean, we still got an entire year before we actually get to fully play it. So then we'll go and we'll see from there.
Do you think it's best to release a demo?
I mean, they might be afraid to do that because statistically, I don't know. Square Enix seems to
Hey,
fuck that
they've
up.
released demos for all of their games. They've released demos for Final Fantasy 15, for 7 Remake, for Strangers of Paradise. So most
So
likely we're gonna get
They
a
then
demo.
released two
we
for
need to
Strangers of
expect a
Paradise.
demo then.
They released multiple demos for
Yeah,
the
they
game.
released demos
Yeah,
for
for
almost
Selection and
all
Paradise they did
Octopath,
release
Triangle,
multiple.
Strategy. Square Enix is one of the last companies that actually releases demos. I 100%
And
expect a
Capcom.
16
And
demo. And
Capcom.
Capcom.
So to be
Yep.
honest with you, listening to you and Nate, I don't think you have to worry about any of the RPG elements. You know what I mean? You just knowing where Yoshi P comes from and his pedigree, his resume. and the things that he's saying as far as like this is a Final Fantasy game that he wants people to come back to. Where people, some people might have dropped off Final Fantasy before, probably because due to story or whatever gameplay. This is the one that he wants people to come back to and like really enjoys. Like he personally said that. So I think if somebody's going to say something like that, you obviously got to know, that these type of games people like the traditional, you
Right.
know, elements and all that stuff within it. And we did see some type of RPG elements there. It like what's in the perks. It didn't really highlight anything there, but I get what you're saying. You want more detail as far as like armor or accessories, equipment, and stuff like that, and how you're going to build out your character. I get that. I get that, but
Yeah.
I think
I really think
I'm going with the developers and what they say.
I
Yeah.
really believe we needed a breakdown, a video breakdown, not from you, buddy, because I think you were doing one while I
No,
was in
but
mine.
he said it before the trailer came out. He said this is
There's
the
gonna be more shown. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's all I'm saying. Like, I just need to see more, because right now, obviously, I'm forming an opinion with, you know, seeing one less than 1% of the game. So like that's all I'm going based off of. And when I see the actual, you know, the evidence of what they're telling me firsthand, then I can make a better informed decision from there. And like I said, they got plenty of time. I mean, it's a year away. So, I mean, it's not
For
I'm not writing it off or anything, but it's just a first impression.
I feel
for
you.
me, it's no longer about what the gameplay is. That's just anything. I'm not a fan of what they showcase from one gameplay perspective because it doesn't scream Final Fantasy for me. If I want that game to scream Final Fantasy for me, I want the uniqueness in, for example,
Why doesn't it scream Final Fantasy to you? Like how come it doesn't?
because I'm not used to Final Fantasy being a hack and slash game.
So you don't care about like the enemies shown, the summons shown,
Now, of course I
things
did,
that
but
every Final
Did
Fantasy
you
game have.
So you didn't
did
like
you
Seven
play
Remake,
Final?
Omar?
Did you play this? What I was about to ask. Did you
Seven
play Final
Remake was
Fantasy
not
VII
hack
Remake?
and slash. Seven
Right, but we
Remake was
don't.
part.
We've
Yeah,
only
go
seen
ahead.
a
Right,
tiny slice of the
when they
combat. We haven't seen.
but when they showed the Combat 7 remake, that's what people were saying. They was like, "Oh, this looks like a
Yes.
hack and slash," because all what they were showing was, them doing the cool moves and slicing and stuff like that. We don't know how hard it is. The combat is going to be. You know what I mean? We don't know how much more in depth is going to be. So
Do we know?
we don't or
Which
what
is
they're gonna
why,
like
What about the
what Mario
magic?
said.
which
What
is
about the
why
magic system? We don't know anything about that.
you're hearing people voicing their opinion right now, because we don't know stuff. When we know stuff, we're gonna come back and talk about it. As of right now,
We know about it. I mean, listen. How long we've been playing Final Fantasy games? You don't need to be told
Right.
everything in the world. They
Right.
already told you that this world is governed by these mother crystals. We already see that each realm has like a element that they specify in with like fire with Rosaria. We have the Shiva icon as ice. So we already see that magic is already playing there. We saw the combat where they're
And the
using
summon
abilities.
battles, which
Yeah,
is
like
completely
I don't
unique.
get it.
That's what I say. There's like, what are we seeing unique? The summon battles. we haven't done that in the Final Fantasy game. At least,
We're seeing it.
but we don't know how, and maybe that's the turn base. You know what I mean? Maybe that the summon battles are turn based. Who knows? But we haven't seen
that'll be
enough of the summon
interesting.
battles to see how exactly how it's gonna work out. The only thing we've seen is like kind of them doing their moves, right? Like them like going into like the scenes where they're doing their moves and shit like that. So.
For me, I'm more fixated on the party members. I want more party members. I am not a fan of this whole one-man army situation. I know you're playing as two different characters. I don't know if you're gonna get additional. I understand from the look of it, it really seems to be every single summon is his or her own character. So I'm not sure if they're gonna join you and they're gonna fight with you, or they just there to be summoned and that's about it. Because when they were showcasing the fight, you highlighted it, Bari, shout out to you. He was building a summon meter for Odin, but it was just him fighting. We didn't see someone else fighting with him. So I'm curious if we're gonna get additional party members or if it's gonna just stay one man or two man army
I
at
mean,
this point in
we got
time.
a little bit of hints as far as like another. I'm not confirming this is another member or whatnot, but when you read Benedicta um biography on the main page, it says that she's like joining like Clive and as far as like looking for answers or whatnot. And I don't know the
Okay,
specific quote, but I know they're gonna be joining up or something. But that doesn't dictate like as far as okay, there's gonna be a party member. But I don't know. I'm just happy with what I've seen so far with
wait,
the combat.
1 second, Iman. We actually seen Chocobo in literally the very first trailer.
Yeah, the latest trailer too. We saw Chocobos.
Yeah, this
The
gonna be
very first
definitely.
trailer, though.
Yeah, we saw Chocobos. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that, buddy.
Yeah. What do you think, Bart?
Nah, like I don't think we have to worry about the traditional Final Fantasy like things that appear in this game because we already seen a lot of it. You know what I mean? Like that to me is like Final Fantasy. Battle systems always have changed within Final Fantasy. Now it's just we're just seeing like a you know a bigger turn when it just comes to like the turn base and you know action because the turn based systems were always changing throughout Final Fantasy. Each battle system is not always the same. You know what I mean? So um, at the end of the day, like I said, I'm going to be trusting the developers. I look at the pedigree between the developers. I look at the listing as far as like the directors and the producers, and it's all names that are tied to you know specific games that I loved. So you know what I mean. I think they're going to nail this one. As far as the concerns, as far as like how the elements are going to be, yeah, I can understand that. They said they're going to be breaking that down, or they're going to be talking about more information and stuff like that. I think that stuff is going to come. But as far as like it being a Final Fantasy game and questioning that, I think that's crazy that people are doing that. In my opinion, like
Especially when
we,
it's going back to his roots thematically.
yeah, like we've been playing Final Fantasy games for years. Like anybody that been playing Final Fantasy games for years and questioning like is 16 gonna be a Final Fantasy game, I think that's crazy.
Yes, I think
So,
it's at heart it's still going to be.
for me, I'm not gonna believe anything what Square Enix said for one simple reason. I don't trust these people. These are the
But
same
what about
people that.
what about
What?
Yoshi P? What about
What?
Yoshi
Sorry,
P?
I don't trust UTP because I never played any of UTP games. Like I played
Yeah, that's fair.
14, but I never got into it like that. And my memory is gonna always be 13 verses. My memory is gonna always be 15. My memory is gonna always be 13. That's what I and even Kingdom Hearts 3. So that's all. So my Square Enix have always been now a hit or a miss. So I'm waiting to see what the final result is. I played the first demo for, I think the only demo for Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I loved it. And I talked about it, and I'm waiting on the demo for this game, so I can talk about it. And I'll leave it at that. Anyone have anything else to say what comes to this topic? Weeb, Morgan, Ding? Nope.
Well,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
don't. From what I've seen, I'm pretty excited about it. I haven't been like just following every little detail about this game. As far as the combat, party members, a lot of that stuff hasn't really been revealed. But I think we're going to get a Final Fantasy game. I mean, yeah, this game may be a little different. It looks like it may be a little bit the combat may be more action oriented, but we don't know all the aspects of the combat. So for me, I'm super super excited about it. I love RPGs, and for me, I'm not really this doom and gloom. I'm not jumping on that train. I'm excited about the game, and I'm liking what I'm seeing so far.
Gotcha. With that being
I was
said,
gonna say before
yeah,
we move on, like to be frank, like the one thing to get situated is that people who are not a fan of what has been shown so far doesn't mean they're writing the game off, or like you said, the doom and gloom and all that stuff. People just need to see more. Like some like it's the same way. I don't jump through the roof at the first trailer of every game I see either. Like it's a Final Fantasy game. I've loved them. You know what I'm saying? my whole life. You know what I'm saying? So I trust that it's going to be good, but I've also played Final Fantasies I damn sure don't like. So I'm just not jumping to conclusions, and I want to see more and go from there. So it's not
No,
like
I respect
Yeah.
you. I respect your opinions. I'm just giving you like my side just to see if that might open up, any questions or that might answer any questions.
oh no. I was explaining to Link because he said like the doom and gloom. I was like, I don't even think a lot of people who don't like what they see so far are like, yo, I'm done with this game. Like I'm never gonna fucking play it.
Well, I mean that to me that's what I was addressing. Like then that's why I said in the beginning of my thing is like for the people who's looking at it and be like, I'm not, I don't know, or I don't really like the way the combat is looking or whatever. Those people is like whatever. Like at the end of the day, it's your opinion. Stand on it. That's how you feel. That's how you feel, right? But it was the people that will like keep saying that like because it's like that, then it's not a Final Fantasy game, which confuses me because it's like Final Fantasy, the foundation of Final Fantasy is always doing something different and unique and shit and things like that. And especially now when it's going back to its roots as in terms of the themes, right? But and then or they're writing it off because for some reason everybody believes that party members automatically makes a JRPG story that much better. It's like there's been times where we had stupid ass party members that I didn't like that ruined the story for me. You know what I mean? Like not like so, but we don't know if that's going to be the case, and maybe it is him and just that girl, and it's going to be even deeper bonding experience with that story. The story definitely looks way more mature. And it's going to look like a little bit more unique, and it's setting Clive up to be not necessarily like a savior type character, but more on the lines like kind of like an anti-hero, but not really an anti-hero, not a bad one or anything like that. So and then the incorporations of the summons and things like that.
Yo, Chris, can we
Those
be
are
honest?
yeah.
Can we be honest, Chris? A
Yes,
lot
sir.
of opinions on these people out here. I saw you had the space up, and I gotta catch it. I don't know if you recorded it, but I gotta catch it.
Yeah,
Later.
I did record it. I'll tell you. I'll DM it to you. I recorded it.
Yeah, you know the reason. The only reason why these some of these criticisms, I'm not talking about you and Nate or anybody Omar in here. I'm talking about the stuff I see on Twitter. These neutral gamers, these I don't like console wars. It's because they see that PlayStation name or
They should.
tagline on there, and
Yep.
it's not on their
Exactly.
platform. So all of a sudden, oh,
Exactly.
this ain't a Final Fantasy game. I don't like the combat. This and that, this and that. As soon as that junk come down to their platform later, years later, you're gonna see a huge change, just like Seven Remake.
Well,
Seven
yeah, I
Yep.
Remake,
can't
all
wait
these
Exactly.
to
months.
see Seven remake if it gets revealed at this event, especially if it goes to Game Pass. Man, the turnaround and flip from some of these boys.
Oh, it was an incomplete game. It wasn't. It
They
was only
already
part
they
of a
already
game.
anticipating it, and they don't like the game. They claim they hate
They
the
ain't
game.
playing that shit. They're not playing that game. It's just a talking point. It's just a round in the chamber. That's all it is.
That's all it is, man. Is a PlayStation. They see the PlayStation name and they're like, oh, they write it off. But as soon as that
Yeah,
shit
no,
comes in,
because of it,
Hmm.
because it's exclusive. Because it's not even the neutrals, right? Um, I follow a few
Hmm.
Nintendo dudes as well. They always hate on exclusive JRPGs on PlayStation. They always do. They always find something to like try to downplay or whatever, but then they praise fucking Xenoblade, and all these, which those games are great. Don't get me wrong, but I always feel like those games are the best. And it's like because I was just running the Blandrew and I was going through his threads, and it's like all these Nintendo dudes are saying the same shit, and it's like I even see one that says like that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is gonna have a more in-depth and deeper story because you have 7 party members rather than with Final Fantasy 16 because you're going to have one, and their logic is because they have to cover all these different characters and shit like that. It's like, but you don't know that, you don't know just because something has party members doesn't mean it's going to be one more in depth, or two, like some of those fucking arcs might be stupid. Some of those characters might have stupid ass arcs that will completely throw shit off of you. Like you don't know that, you haven't played these games to really determine how the story is going to be based off, or it may not have party members or some shit like that. That to me, those were like some of the ridiculous takes I was saying. I'm even seeing people saying, that it might be a mistake. Square Enix is doing it by making this game action and only party member base or no party members that you control or shit like that. It's like, how the fuck you know that this might be one of the best fucking Final Fantasy games you've ever played. This might be one of the more highest rated ones. You never know. You know what I mean? Those were like the main people that were kind of like really like annoying the fuck out of me, because I was seeing it wasn't like I saw one or two. I was actually seeing more than a few, more often than not. But that's the thing with Final Fantasy. It's always some type of controversy because there's always some change that people just fucking like, and they always want to limit these developers. Like, no,
Exactly.
you have to make it this way in order for us to
Yes.
consider it a Final Fantasy game. Like, no, like, you know what I mean? Like, 7 remake, huge controversy. Like, huge
Mm-hmm.
controversy. 15,
Yep.
like a lot of them, 13 and shit like that. And of course, some of them are we didn't like or whatever, but it's like that with every Final Fantasy game that releases. There's always some shit that people are complaining about. There's always some type of controversy. That people saying that because they're doing this, it's gonna be complete shit and complete ruin, and then they write it off right away. And then the game comes out, and guess what they say? Oh, you know what? I was, I might have been wrong and shit like that. It's like, yeah, motherfucker, like, but we'll see, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean
I
I'm
have
gonna
faith
be
that
Exactly.
this
honest. That's a
game. Yeah.
silly notion for people to think that a story would just be bad because of lack of party members. Because Metal Gear Solid has one of the most in-depth, insane stories, and you play as Snake the whole damn time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or
That's
for the
the
most
that's the
part.
funny thing. Like 16 trailer, you see a whole bunch of characters. Just because not everyone is being introduced yet,
Yeah,
doesn't mean that they don't have
Every
a
every
important part.
icon is a character because every icon requires an actual what do they call them, not the
Dominant.
remnants, the dominants,
Hmm.
right? So
Right.
every single one
Yeah.
is a character, is another character that's gonna, and the icons play a significant role. So all the dominants is gonna have significant roles in storytelling that when you interact with them and stuff like that. So
And there's two worlds that they're against, like, you know having a dominance. One of them, the Iron Kingdom, they look at dominance as like unholy abominations. And then there's the Crystalline Dominion, where they don't believe in any dominant. You know what I mean? So there's also different, like, there's complexity to the world of Final Fantasy, but a lot of these people, they're not going to the website, they're not reading the stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I do that stuff. You know what I mean? But a lot of people don't care. They just see the
So
PlayStation and they write it off and it's like, oh,
Oh yeah, I mean
that's
you
what it
if
is.
if
you're
if
absolutely right.
if this game was on all platforms, you wouldn't hear all this outrage and
Exactly.
complaining and stuff. That's just what it is.
Somehow,
We know it.
some criticism is valid, but it's just when you involve it with console wars, I know when I zone out.
Yeah, that I'm gonna keep it real. Like that's one thing I wanted to address real quick. This has nothing to do with that specifically, but I am so sick and tired of hearing that, because this does work in some ways. Because Xbox dudes definitely do this. If it was on their platform, they would be singing the praises of all this shit. Um, but when people try to reverse that and use that against like PlayStation and shit, I'm like, dude, it doesn't work that way. PlayStation people out here playing everything. I was like, that does not work. Like the recent Diablo little mobile game or whatever, people that like it are just like, man, if it released on Switch and it was on Vita, y'all would be loving this shit. And I'm like, no, the fuck, I wouldn't, man. Like, like I'm not gonna dislike something just cause like those freemium designs and all that other shit in the game. I've never been a fan of that shit. I know exactly how mobile games are designed and all this shit, and it's not a matter of it just releasing on a different platform. I don't like that shit, and Diablo is not something I'm into. So people that get on this terminology that just simply releasing it on this platform or that platform would result in absolute love. Yes, that is a definite thing that Xbox dudes have displayed. I could That is a complete factual thing, but the
That's
opposite,
true.
it
Yeah.
doesn't work because I mean they've
No, it
proven,
doesn't.
yeah, like I mean look at Smooth was like, this man hated uh Bethesda games, and I'll never play them joints. They trash anyway. 5 minutes after they were bought, my man had a whole icon made up. You know what I'm saying? The
That's
Black
the thing, and
Fallout
they
boy.
Smooth is a
Yeah,
different
that
breed,
that that
though.
that's a
that's
sickness
the
though. That's
that's
a
the thing
mental
though.
disorder.
That's the thing, that when it comes to Xbox guys, like, I see the difference between Xbox guys, PlayStation guys, Nintendo guys. Like, Xbox guys, they will want games that they don't even care for on the platform, just so the platform can look good, just so they can say, "Oh, this
Hmm.
is also on Xbox." They
Mm-hmm.
don't care to play it. They don't care to touch it or even try it. They don't care about that. There's
Right.
a difference when it comes to PlayStation guys, where if they see a game and it's not on the platform, they will probably be like, "Oh, I'm interested in this game, but I would love for this to come to PlayStation so
Mm-hmm.
I can
Right.
play it, not just so the
Right.
platform can look good. They want to play it themselves. It's a weird dynamic over there on
Mm,
Xbox. Because
Exactly.
right.
even the other day, like
Right. I heard.
yesterday, I see a bad take about Ki, right? They saying Ki was like a bad game
Mm-hmm.
on that kind of funny Xbox podcast. And I see Kid Smooth, I see a whole bunch of people talking
Right.
about it, but I
Yo,
never seen
facts.
these guys even play Ki.
Yeah.
They don't even
Facts,
play.
Bard.
You know what I mean?
No, they never uploaded this. No screenshots, no gameplay from
You
none of
see
these
my
dudes.
response from Smooth?
I
You see
was
Smooth?
I,
I ain't see.
I
I
bought the shit as soon as I could get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. What did Spoo say?
No,
No,
Smooth was
well,
defending it. I'm not against
no,
what Smooth is saying, but when I look back at it, I was like, did you really
no.
like Ki? Like,
I know Smooth saying that he wants Ki to come back, which I agree, but I agree because that was actually the game. That was literally the main game why I bought an Xbox One at launch. I ain't gonna
Me
even gonna go
too.
cap.
Me
That was
too.
a game, and
Me too.
I put time into that game. Like I thought Ki is a really
Right.
good game. Ki actually a lot of the people who are into fighting games now that are playing online with like netcode, like
Uh huh.
they need to thank Ki because that was like the first one to do it. They need to thank Ki. Ki was so, but a lot of these dudes was
yeah,
like,
for
yeah,
the
we want
GGPO rollback.
yeah, exactly. A lot of these people like, yeah, we want Ki back, but it's like, no, but what Smooth says like, yeah, I want Ki back because he said, in my opinion, Ki is better than like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. And then I replied to him, I replied to him and said that Smooth, you don't even play none of these fighting games enough to even say that one is better than
None
the
of
other.
them.
You know what I mean?
But you know why he said that though?
Because it's on KI's Xbox. I guarantee, like, say a new KI come out and it's like on all platforms, that hype or that dwindle is gonna be gone. It's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
gone for them.
Yep.
Trust me.
100%.
Oh, then they wouldn't dare. Microsoft would. I don't think Microsoft would do that from fear of backlash from the fanboys.
No, I'm not saying if it was happening. Like
Probably
Yeah.
it's like Street Fighter, right? Look at the
Yeah.
difference with Street
Yeah.
Fighter Six.
I would say that.
Nobody's hype for Street Fighter Six is dwindled just because it's coming to Xbox and PC.
Exactly.
You know
Right.
what I mean?
Nah. Absolutely
Matter of
not.
fact,
I'm
no, no,
getting it.
no. Smooth was actually saying a couple months ago, "Fuck Street Fighter, that game is garbage." And then now he's
Oh
saying
yeah.
it's coming in Xbox. You know what I mean? So,
These dudes
all
don't
right.
even try to. They don't even try to keep it real. So, you know, why isn't it not coming to the last gen Xbox though? Why is it only series consoles? I wonder.
Yo, that's a good point too. That's my biggest critique as well with Street Fighter Six so far is that
Uh huh.
it is cross gen on PS and PlayStation
But you
4,
know,
and
uh huh.
Yeah,
Xbox is only
yeah,
But you know, I think I know why. I think I know why.
Series S is
Um,
not a next gen
well,
console.
Microsoft's. Well, I don't know. It could be because Microsoft's not selling that console anymore, or it could be because they may not be able to get it running on that shitty ass launch Xbox. Because if they put it on Xbox One S and One X, it's got to go on the OG Xbox as well, and we know that thing struggles to do anything. So maybe they just can't even get it running properly on the OG console.
right. And they're gonna want to raise up the quality a little bit, so they're gonna cut the
Right.
Xbox One version of it. PS4, they're not gonna abandon that shit because that's where most of the fighting game community is on right
Tournaments.
now, right?
Yeah.
And yeah,
Right.
tournaments and stuff like that. But with fighting games, I don't see really fighting. I mean, yeah, it's like I like to me, it's like what more can they do as far as like pushing like the next level as far as like next gen. And to me, it'll be
Hmm.
like the roaming around the Metro City and stuff like that. But as
Right.
far as like fighting game mechanics, the mechanics
Uh
itself,
huh.
like I don't really look at fighting games personally as like or at least with Street Fighter as something like for me like when I look at God of War, Ragnarok, or Horizon, when I look at them as like
Uh
damn,
huh.
like imagine if there was a PS5 only, what more they can do.
Hmm.
With fighting games is like yeah, I mean it makes sense why they would put it on PS4 as well.
But you got, Series S is a last gen console, so it's kind of technically on last gen on that platform. So
Fighting
But
games
yeah, but
is more about the performance. As long as they can
the
lock that
performance,
PC,
yeah.
and have the input latency like really really low,
I
then
Yeah, I think they could probably get it to run at 60 on the Xbox OG Xbox One, but it has to be at like 480p, and maybe they just don't want to do that, you know.
Yeah. Well, they have to
Uh,
run every
So
fighting game has to be locked 60 FPS with no hiccups
yeah.
okay.
on any platform.
With that being said, I'm gonna leave it at that. Um,
Hmm.
go ahead, buddy. Do your outro.
oh yeah, man, I appreciate the invite, Omar, man. It was a
Anytime, dude.
yeah, it was a great good discussions. These bots is going crazy on YouTube, man. I
Let
see the
them.
chat right now. But nah, man, it was fun. Talking to you guys is good hearing a different opinion as well when it comes to 16 from you guys, people that I actually respect. Forget these Twitter bum ass gamers
Yeah,
out there.
facts.
My bad for cursing.
Yeah, unlike
but
them, we play games.
nah, man. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the show. Enjoy the rest of y'all Saturday. And yeah, man, go and play Horizon Forbidden West. Man, that update is amazing. Spider Man just got an update as well. I'm trying to figure out what that update entails, but um, yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Have fun.
Gotcha. Chris,
Yeah, man. It was a good talk, great talks, fun talks. And yeah, man, it's like I definitely respect everybody hearing their opinions. I think we all gamers. We all actually play games here. Sorry about that. We all should all actually play here. Play games here. So I know, everybody all is gonna have their own preferences and stuff like that. So, but shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to it was a good show. Definitely still on that, a little bit of high from that state of play. I've been watching that 16 trailer like 10 times in a row. That music, oh my god, that music was
do
fucking
you take
perfect.
question?
Incredible.
Do you
Incredible.
Yeah.
take the ending? I mean, do you take 16 trailer this one or the music from the previous one, trailer? For me, it's the ending from the music from the previous one that take the cake. When you get that ending and then the music and you get that
Nah,
logo.
to me, my favorite part and this one is right like when they start showing the summon battles and you see Phoenix fighting Ifrit, then it changes to Garuda when she slashes um Ifrit's arm, and then I think yeah, it was from that transition going into where Odin is fighting Bahamut. That part of the music right there, that I was like, oh, this shit is fucking epic as fuck, man. That shit had me hyped. That part right there, that shit had me hyped. But nah,
Hmm.
I have no doubts in my mind that the OST is gonna be fucking legendary, right?
I mean, even
But
I hate 13, I love the
yeah, the
Japanese.
music, yeah, Lightning's theme song, the battle theme or whatever. That shit is definitely
No, I'm
one of the
talking
best.
about the ending song. Go listen it in Japan, a Japanese ending song. I die for that song.
All right, but yeah, you have to check me out on Twitter and things like that. So shout out to everybody.
Thank you for coming through. Before continue, Bari, Garuda, is that a new summon? Because I never heard of it before.
No,
I
no,
don't.
no, it's not a new summon.
Where was it debuted? Because I don't recall it ever exist. Do you know Bari? Oh, I think he left. Um, do you know Chris? Okay. Weep.
I think
Yeah, go ahead.
uh was it 9 or 11 where she first appeared? I
Gotcha.
think yeah, I think it might have been
I'll
like
look it up.
11 or something like
No
that.
problem.
Yeah.
Um,
Wiki says
Weep,
11.
where people can find you?
Uh,
Who?
yeah, you can find me on Twitter,
Oh, okay.
Weep Sheriff, at Infinite Rhizome, and on YouTube as Blue Rhizome. Yeah, great show. Didn't talk that much, but had a bit of a cold, and it was great listening to you guys. And of course, Other Nation.
Nate, where people can find you?
Uh, yeah. You can find me on Twitter at the real Innate. or Xbox, same thing. Also on PlayStation, just innate. And keep it gaming. And to answer your question, the first Final Fantasy Garuda appeared in was apparently Final Fantasy 3 as a boss. That is the answer for your
Okay.
question.
Okay, gotcha. Um, Morgan, where people can find you?
Hey everybody, it's Morgan, aka Chill Bandit. You can find me on Twitter. Shout out to the guests, Chris, Bari, Link. Shout out to the panel and shout out to the chat. Thanks everybody for coming through, and we'll see you next Saturday.
And give me a second.
You got Link next.
Link, where people can find you?
Um, on Twitter, occasionally on Six Podcasts, a little bit everywhere. Um, Thanks for letting me crash the show. Didn't get a chance to hear a lot of it because I was working, but appreciate the opportunity to come on here and share my opinions and listen to what everybody else has to say. And of course, at the end of the day, we're all gamers. So,
Yeah. And as for me, shout out to everyone that came through. Shout out to the mod doing work. Shout out to what's called Innate. Special shout out to Innate for them new layout. I am loving it. The fact that he kept putting new trailers in, like that's extra work. Shit. Shout out to you for that.
Man,
Real
Good
talk.
job. Clap, clap.
Shout out to Go for coming through. Feel free to hit the like button and join if you're not sub. And yeah, people can find me at carba_Chihab on Twitter. And also on Vitamin G podcast every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, if you're an anime fan and you're up to date when it comes to One Piece, I suggest for you to listen to our show Anime Squad with me, Weeb, Zero, and now Jubei every Friday 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Last night's show was legendary. We had a lot of fun conversation and yeah, with curious what's gonna happen for next week. With that being said, see you next week. Later, everyone. Feel free to understand me, mom.